Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, Lettuce Head Fanfics. Back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Had Phantom Life Quirk. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Kaken. Midoriya Izuku, also known as Deku, yelled as he ran to Bakugo Katsuki, who was sitting on a park swing and waving to him. Guess what, Kaken? I just went to the doctor and he said. Flashback to the doctor's office. Inko and Izuku. Midoriya, Dr. Jacob will see you now in room 3 please, the receptionist announced over the speakers. Izuku, let's go find out about your quirk, his mother said as she stood up, grabbed his hand, and walked down the hall to a white door with a big blue 3 painted on it. As they entered the room, a strong smell hit them, a mix of cleaning products that was much stronger than what his mother used at home. Good day, Mrs. Midoriya and Izuku, a tall man with brown hair, dressed in a white coat, dark blue glasses, and green eyes greeted them as he sat down in front of a computer. Good morning, Dr. Jacob. It's good to see you again, his mother replied with a smile. Well, Izuku, I have your results from the X-ray you had last time and the quirk strength test to determine which category you fall under. Would you like to know? He asked, showing them a large brown folder with Izuku's name on it. Yes, please. I'm going to be a hero just like All Might. Izuku exclaimed, bouncing in his seat. Well, if you look here, according to your X-rays, medical history, and the quirk test, you will be getting a quirk, Dr. Jacob said, putting the X-ray up and pulling out some papers. Izuku, dear, you're getting a quirk. This is great. What's his quirk? When will he get his quirk? His mother asked, practically squeezing him in her embrace, but he could still see her smile, which could rival All Might's. As you know, quirks have rankings starting from F class, the weakest, to S class. For what Izuku's quirk is, I'm not sure, but it is likely a high B rank to mid A rank, maybe even higher. Dr. Jacob said as he showed them some test results. Really? I'm going to have a powerful quirk now. I can become a great hero just like All Might. Izuku joyfully shouted, breaking free from his mother's embrace to fist pump the air. Ha! I'm rooting for you, kid, Dr. Jacob said while ruffling Izuku's hair and turning to his mother. But, Miss Midoriya, when he gets his quirk, make sure you call me and bring him here, or call a hero if his quirk is too dangerous. If you decide to go with the hero option, still call me. Here is my number, please call me when you find out his quirk so we can work out a time for you to come in again and get it registered. Promise me you will call, the doctor said, handing a card to her. Oh, and since Izuku is already 4, he can get his quirk any second now, but normally he should have 1 to 2 weeks. That's just a guess. That's all I had to say. You may leave if you have no more questions. Thank you for your time, Dr. Jacob, they both said, bowing to him. You don't need to thank me, ma'am. I'm just doing my job. And Izuku, be good for your mother and become the next #1 hero, Dr. Jacob said as he watched them exit the room. Okay, have a good day, Dr. Jacob, his mother said, grabbing Izuku's excited hand as they left. Flashback over. Kaken, I'm going to get a strong quirk now. We can be heroes together. Izuku exclaimed. I knew you would get a strong quirk, Deku, the spiky blonde boy with a black shirt that said, cool guys don't look at explosions replied, jumping off the swing to high-five Izuku. So, what do you think your quirk will be? The blonde asked. I don't know, but I hope it's as cool as your explosion quirk, Deku said, beaming with a smile that could light up a room. Well, let's play heroes. I will be All Might and you can be the villain, Kaken declared, grabbing Izuku's hand and dragging him to the play equipment. Okay, can I be the hero after you? Deku asked in his quiet voice. Sure, whatever. Just get ready. For I am here. Ha, the blonde said, striking a heroic pose. Okay, you will never catch me, All Might, for I am Deku, the most powerful villain to ever live. Maha. With the mothers. They are so cute. I sort of don't want them to grow up, the green-haired lady said to the blonde. Every child needs to grow up one day. Inko, you know that, Mitsuki replied with a sad look. How has time passed so fast? It feels like only yesterday they were learning to walk and talk, Inko said with a smile, reminiscing as she watched Izuku being chased up the slide and down by Katsuki. Time skip 1 hour. Todoroki was screaming and pointing at a cockroach as he stood on an ice tower he had made, while Momo stared at him with a blank expression. Yeah, well, it is getting late, Inko. I'm going to take Katsuki and head home. Have a nice night and stay safe. Also, make sure to come over soon, it's been way too long, Mitsuki said as she walked up to Katsuki. I will too, Mitsuki, Inko replied, walking up to Izuku. Come on, Izuku, let's get home to cook dinner. Do you want to help? She asked, picking him up. Yes, I want to help. I want to help. Izuku yelled as Inko started walking back to their home. 1 week and 3 days later. I picked up my ringing phone from my desk in my office while eating my lunch. I looked at the number and accepted the call, raising it to my ear as I heard a panicked voice on the other end. Hello, is this Dr. Jacob? A distressed lady asked. Yes, I am Dr. Jacob. And you are? I replied. I am Inko and Midoriya. You said to call you when Izuku gets his Quirk, she cried out. Okay, you need to calm down, okay? So, Izuku got his quirk. Do you know what it is? And no, not really. It's nothing like my or his father's quirks, she replied, her voice shaky. Well, kids can inherit quirks from past generations. Maybe it's a quirk that your ancestors had. I suggested. Maybe, but I'm not sure. Okay, well then, would you like to bring him in at 3 p.m.? I can check his quirk and try to help as much as possible. No. Actually, can you come see him? He's in the hospital. His quirk, it's killing him. She cried out, her sobs echoing through the phone. Really? I will be there as soon as possible. Where are you? I stumbled over my words, shocked that the green-haired boy was in such a dire situation. Franklin Hospital, room 8, floor 2, in the emergency room, she sobbed. Okay, I will be there as soon as possible. The call ended. 40 minutes later, I arrived at the hospital. I rushed to the room, slamming the door open and nearly hitting the wall. How is he? I asked, looking at the green-haired boy lying next to a window in the corner, hooked up to life support. Sir, you can't be here, a nurse with red hair and green eyes said. I'm a quirk doctor, and I'm here to try to find out what's wrong with Izuku Midoriya, I stated, approaching the boy's mother, who was holding his hand. I pulled out my doctor's license and showed it to her. Very well, try your best. The boy is a mystery to us. All we know is he complained of chest pain before hyperventilating and collapsing in class today. When he got here, his pulse was very slow. The rest of his medical files are at the end of the bed, the nurse explained before bowing and leaving. Now, Izuku, let's see what's wrong with you, I said as I moved closer, checking his heart rate and listening to his breathing before examining his chart. I'm going to be straightforward with you. His heart is slowly stopping, and his breathing is irregular. He can still move, but at this rate he's not going to survive the night, and there's nothing I can do, Dr. Jacob mumbled with a sigh. Okay, Izuku, I'm going to go, but I'll stay in the building just in case I'm needed. Inko, if something happens, I want you to push this button, I said, handing Inko a silver remote with a blue button on top. It will alert me that you need me in here, and I will come rushing in, okay? She nodded, not taking her eyes off her boy. The next day at 4 in the morning, chaos erupted. Quick! His heart stopped. Do chest compressions and help him breathe. I'm going to get help, yelled a nurse as Izuku's mother cried at the side of the room, praying for her son. Come on, stay with us, kid. Come on, a man shouted as he began performing chest compressions in a panic. A few seconds later, the nurse rushed in with Dr. Jacob, 2 other nurses, and a doctor. How's the kid? Is his heart beating again? Is he breathing? One of the nurses asked in a loud tone. I don't know how, but he is breathing. His heart stopped. How is this possible? Said the man performing chest compressions. Someone get me a blood sample. I need to try something, yelled Dr. Jacob. Right away, sir, a nurse shouted as she ran off to gather the necessary tools. We need to move the kid to the cooling room so we have more time to get his heart beating and increase the chance he will wake up. Jacob yelled. In the cooling room. Dr. Jacob's POV. It's been 13 minutes. We only have another 17 minutes before we have to stop, a nurse said as he hurried alongside Dr. Jacob to retrieve the blood reports from the tests done on Izuku's blood to see if his hunch was correct. I know that, but what I don't know is if this is his quirk or if his heart is failing him. So hurry up. We have a dying kid to save, Dr. Jacob replied, picking up speed as he ran down the hall, turning left and entering the second door on the right marked, test results. He looked around and found Izuku's file on the counter, ready for him. He examined the results. Izuku Deku Midoriya. Blood type. Quirk. Unknown. Quirk level, A+, the third strongest level. The sudden call snapped Dr. Jacob from staring at the kid's quirk level. Now I really want to know what his quirk is. It may be one we've been looking for, he thought as he grabbed the phone. Dr. Jacob. The kid is breathing green mist or smoke. We don't know what to do, screamed a nurse from the other end of the line. Dr. Jacob dropped his phone and ran to the cooling room, nearly knocking people over as he rushed to see what he could do for Izuku. Crash. The doors flew off their hinges as he burst into the room, seeing Izuku's face turning pale as he exhaled green mist, which began to surround him. As I was doing chest compressions, he started to breathe out green mist, and his chest feels like it's turning into whatever that is, the doctor performing the compressions said. This has to be his quirk's doing, Dr. Jacob said as he rushed over. Dr. Jacob grabbed Izuku's wrist, but as soon as he did, it transformed into mist. What the hell? One of the nurses screamed. Crash. The doors on the other side of the room flew open. My baby Izuku. How's my baby? Inko screamed as she ran in, rushing over to Izuku, or rather the green mist shaped like Izuku, with two nurses trying to pull her away to give the doctor's room. I don't know. 1 minute he was lying down breathing but with no pulse, next he's turning into green mist or whatever that is, Dr. Jacob said as everyone stepped back and looked at Izuku. He and his clothes had transformed into a mix of light and dark greens, forming mist, and his size and shape kept changing. Izuku's POV. I hear sounds, but they are strange, as if someone blended the words together. It's getting annoying, so I try to open my eyes, but all I see is white before my eyelids close again from their heaviness. I try to feel around, but all I sense is a nice warm cloud. After a minute, I start to feel the cloud disappear, and I feel the cold ground. That's when I feel sleep's warm embrace. Inko's POV. I watch as my boy slowly returns to normal. When he is back to his usual self, I see his happy face, breathing calmly as the nurses and doctors check his pulse once again and attach the 4 drip and monitors. Once they're done, my heart sinks at the sight of a flat line meant for his heartbeat. I rush over to him as fast as I can and pull him into a bear hug, crying my eyes out. After a minute or two of doctors and nurses running about, Dr. Jacob approached me with a board and said, Miss Midoriya, I have some good news. Your son is more or less okay. He's alive but not fully awake. Don't worry, he is going to wake up and give you a big, happy smile, I promise. Second, this is Izuku's quirk. Somehow, it's strong enough to keep him alive even in this state. Third, we don't have Izuku's quirk in our data, so I believe he has a new quirk, which is quite common nowadays. Finally, I need to know Izuku's family quirk history. Can you help us with that? Dr. Jacob said as he rubbed my back to calm me down. After a bit, I was able to stabilize my breathing and nodded. My quirk is telekinesis, and my husband Hasashi has fire breathing. His dad, Heighten, also had fire breathing and his mom, Sasha, had strong regeneration. Heighten's dad had gas breath, and his mom had a zap quirk. When 2 parts of her body meet, it lets off an electrical zap. Sasha's dad had normal regeneration, and her mom had healing fingers. My dad, Inta, has telekinesis like me, but we don't know who his parents are because they left him after finding out he was a failure from a quirk marriage. My mom, Coco, has camouflage hair, her mom had hair control, and her dad's quirk was gecko. Oh, and Hasashi had a brother, Hitachi, who had healing smoke breath, but he passed away in a car crash. Aside from that, I don't know, sorry. I told Dr. Jacob everything I knew in hopes of helping Izuku. Thank you, Miss Midoriya. This will help us so much, but you might want to loosen that hug. He is having trouble breathing, Dr. Jacob said as he bowed and pointed to Izuku. As I went to let go, I heard a quiet, "I can't breathe, let go." Within seconds, I squeezed him tighter, not realizing until a moment later when I let go instantly and grabbed Izuku's shoulders. "Are you okay? Do you feel weird? Do you know what happened?" I asked, 100 more questions racing through my mind. "I feel pretty much the same, just empty." "What happened?" Izuku asked as he sat up on the bed and looked around. "What do you mean empty?" I asked in a panic, grabbing his oddly warm hands. "I have a strange feeling in my chest, and I have so much energy, it's unusual." I looked at the doctors as Dr. Jacob stepped forward to explain what had happened. My heart couldn't take it anymore, and I ended up blacking out. Izuku's POV. Dr. Jacob explained what had occurred and how I was technically dead but not entirely, since my heart had stopped. I was still counted as alive because my brain was functioning. In the end, my mother fainted and was placed on a bed next to mine. "I'm going to keep you here for a week to conduct some tests to ensure you're okay and to learn more about your quirk. But for now, you need to rest and get some nutrition. I've sent a nurse to bring you some food. Oh, and if you need anything, there will always be a nurse here with you. Now, get some rest, and the nurse will wake you when your food arrives," Dr. Jacob said as he and the other doctors and nurses, except for one, left the room to likely discuss what had just happened. Meanwhile, I was practically jumping with joy at the thought of having a quirk and the possibility of becoming a hero. No, not just a hero, but the #1 hero, someone who would make everyone feel safe just by smiling. Nothing else happened for the rest of the day, but I couldn't sleep. I had too much energy. I ate well and moved freely, almost as if nothing had happened. The only way to tell was that my heart still wasn't beating and might never beat again. At the start of the week, I was sitting in my hospital bed talking to my mother, who had arrived about an hour ago. We were discussing what we thought my quirk might be and what the test would entail when Dr. Jacob walked in and approached us. "Hi, Izuku, Miss Midoriya. As you know, I'm Dr. Jacob, and today I'm going to conduct your quirk test. If you're ready, Miss Midoriya, can you please sign these documents? Then, Midoriya, we can head to the testing grounds." Dr. Jacob handed the papers to my mother, and I got up to follow him out and down to the ground floor, where we went outside to a separate building. As we entered the large room, I saw dummies set up for kids to test their quirks, a running track for speed tests, a shooting range for long-range quirks, various obstacles, a pool, a heating and cooling room, and a strength test area. There were other things as well, but I either didn't know what they were or didn't see them. We walked into what would have been an empty room if not for the camera, desk, and chairs. "Okay, Midoriya, now that we are in test zone 3, can you try to transform into that mist or smoke? It's okay if you can't, we have an entire week to figure out what your quirk is," Dr. Jacob said with a smile as he set up the camera to record. Okay, how am I supposed to do that?" I asked. "Let me think. Most people who transform say they started by thinking about transforming, and after a while, it became as natural to them as breathing. So why don't you focus on turning into the smoke?" Dr. Jacob suggested as he grabbed a chair and placed it next to the camera. "Okay, I can try that," I replied, putting on my smile and walking over to the marked spot. Dr. Jacob began filming and said, "Day 1, try 1, Izuku Midoriya." He then gave me a thumbs up and I concentrated on transforming, envisioning my body turning into smoke, mist, or fog. Whatever it was, we would find out later. I just had to transform first. Dr. Jacob's POV. We were testing Izuku's quirk to determine what it was and how it worked. As he began to change into the smoke, I noticed his hair and shirt starting to transform as well. This is incredible. He was able to start changing on his first try, I thought. That's when he stopped and opened his eyes to see his hair, part of his shirt, and his hands as smoke. He looked at me and I gave him a thumbs up to indicate that it was okay. He returned to observing his smoky hands, concentrating on something. After a moment, his hand grew larger and separated from his arm. The smoke began to move, changing size, shape, and speed as it flowed. After a minute, the smoke rejoined Izuku's arm and he transformed back to normal. I stopped filming. Wow, that was great. Most people take days just to transform for the first time, but there you are, Try one and you've already turned your hands, hair, and part of your shirt into smoke and moved it easily with your mind, I said as I walked over to Midoriya, who was beaming with happiness. It was tricky but fun. Do you think I can try again? I want to see if I can transform more, he said, practically bouncing in place. Sorry, but I have to run a test first to make sure that didn't hurt you and to ensure you're happy and healthy. Is that okay? If it's safe for you to transform again, you can try. If not, then no more, okay? I asked, and he nodded eagerly. Okay then, what do you need me to do? At the end of the week, transforming did not hurt Midoriya. I discovered more about his quirk and himself. The only reason he is still walking and talking instead of crossing to the other realm is that his quirk has regeneration in it, stronger than his ancestors. After a full day of tests and training, Midoriya can turn about 43% of his body into plasma. We figured out that he is made of plasma, which is also why he no longer needs to sleep, though he can if he wants to. When he is in plasma form, he can move, grow, and shrink the plasma with his mind, which comes from his mother's quirk, telekinesis. Being dead means he no longer has the body's limitations, so he can now use all his strength. He is super flexible and fast, but for some reason, even though he is dead, his body still grows, albeit slower than a normal person. So when he is 15, he will look 13, but when you look at the aging in muscle mass, it is just as fast, maybe even faster than a normal human's growth rate. It's incredible how much he has changed thanks to his quirk, which he is calling Phantom Life. By the end of the week, I had 1 week to find out as much as I could about Izuku's quirk. As far as I have seen, there is still so much to learn from this boy. I don't think even a year will be long enough to uncover even a quarter of his quirk's secrets. All I can do is wish him the best and watch him as he comes in for his checkups, growing up to be the best hero he can be, just like he wishes to. But for now, I must say goodbye to the happy ball of plasma. Goodbye, Doc Jacob. I hope we meet again, but for now, I have to go become the #1 hero, just like All Might. Izuku said as he high-fived me and ran to Inko. When you become the #1 hero, I will be the first to congratulate you. Good luck, and Miss Midoriya, if he ever needs help, call me. I will be right there. By the way, in 6 months, he has to come back for a checkup. I will send you a letter in the mail when the time nears. He is going to make lots of friends as he gets older. If he can warm all our hearts, he can warm anyone's. With that, Miss Midoriya and Izuku bowed, said thank you, and left. Izuku's POV. I came back home from the hospital yesterday, and Mom still has 2 days off work, so we decided to have 3 days of fun before I go back to school and she goes back to work. After staying at the hospital for a week, I can say that I am excited. The first thing I'm doing is watching the shows Mom recorded for me. I have 6 episodes of The World's Most Powerful Quirks, 1 documentary on how Quirk started, and 1 on Edge Shot's rise to the top 10, which will take a long time. So maybe just 4 episodes today, 2 episodes and 1 documentary tomorrow, and the last one the day after. I want Mom to help me with my quirk. I want to be able to use 50% when I go back to school. I also plan to help make dinner and prepare a speech to tell Kaken because how do you tell your best friend that you are dead but still walking and talking? I'm going for a run because Doc Jacob said it might help me with being a ball of plasma. Plasma is made of heat and electricity, and you get hot when you run, producing energy all the time. So, I'm going for a run, but before I left, Mom gave me some money for ice cream. I ran past the park Kaken and I play at, but because it's a Friday, no one was there since all the kids my age are at school. I continued to run to the ice cream shop, which was still a good 5-minute run away. After 3 minutes of running, I could see the shop in the distance, but I also noticed the police stopping people from passing through because a villain was attacking. The villain was tall, about 7 feet 2 inches, with yellow eyes and big eye bags, and purple straight hair. He wore a black tank top and dark blue jeans. The villain called himself Stress, and his quirk, Pressure, can make people feel overwhelmed, causing them to break down. As I got closer to the fight, I realized I had left my book at home. I had to leave my book at home today of all days. That's when a new hero made her debut, Mind Crackerem. Her quirk lets her change people's minds about small things, like what shirt to wear, and big things. She can implant ideas in people's heads and read their minds. M wore a white glitter scarf, a light short blue jacket, a black shirt, tight dark gray pants, and purple high-heeled shoes. Stop, villain. I am M, the Mindcracker hero, and I am here to help. M said, striking a pose. Oh great, a hero. Well, you know what? Why don't you stress out a bit? Stress said as he tried to fight him. After about 15 minutes, the fight was over, with M being interviewed and the villain crying about his past as he lay in his own tears, blood, and sweat. In the end, I was able to go to the shop and got myself an All Might head ice cream. I ran the 15-minute run home. Usually by the time I get to the park I am really tired, but now that I have unlimited energy, I felt like I could run forever. The rest of the day was uneventful. Mom helped me train, and I helped cook dinner. However, while I was cooking, I accidentally burnt my hand, but within seconds, my hand healed as if nothing had happened. They Inko's POV. I got up this morning to find breakfast made and Izuku running around cleaning the kitchen. Izuku, dear, what are you doing? I asked as Izuku stopped and walked over to me. I couldn't sleep, so I made us breakfast and started to clean up the place, Izuku said as he led me to the dining table, showcasing the food he prepared. I made scrambled eggs, toast, and bacon, so eat up before it gets cold. He smiled, proud of his work. Izuku, it's dangerous to cook without me. Are you okay? I asked, a hint of panic in my voice. I'm sorry, Mom, but there was nothing on the news, and I had nothing to do. Now that you're up, we can watch edge shots rise together, Izuku said, practically jumping at the idea. Okay, we can watch the show once we're done, and then we can finish cleaning, I replied, turning my attention to my food. Izuku's POV. Somehow, I managed to fall asleep last night, but I memorized what I wanted to say to Kaken before drifting off. Day 3, beginning Izuku's POV. I've been training all day to increase my power from 48% to 50% control and achieve 100% transformation after breakfast, which Mom is making today. Day 3, ending Izuku's POV. I improved by transforming repeatedly, but for now, I still need to think before transforming. In time, it will get easier. I discovered that if the plasma touches something, it can move, burn, melt, and electrocute whatever it is. I learned this by accident when I melted a cup of water I was trying to hit with the plasma, and when I went to clean it up, the water zapped me. Not fun. However, I can now use 100% of the transformation, and I'm still learning how to control it. Achieving 51% control is pretty good for only having the power for a little over a week. I'm back at school tomorrow, and I can't wait to see Kaken and show him my quirk. Together, we can be heroes who make people feel safe when we're around, no longer allowing fear when we smile and say, do not fear, because we are here. Izuku, it's time to get up. You're going back to school today, remember? Mom yelled as I stopped floating my All Might toy around the room, putting it back in its place. I ran down to the dining room, where Mom had a bowl of cereal waiting for me. Thanks for breakfast, Mom. Oh, and I never needed to get up. I never went to sleep. Can I invite Kaken over for a sleepover, please? I asked, putting on my best puppy dog face. Oh, you know I can't resist that face. Fine, on Saturday, Bakugo can sleep over if Mitsuki says yes, and you sleep, got it? I nodded eagerly. Yes, Mommy. Now let's eat so I can brush my teeth, put on my red shoes, and go see Kaken. I dug in with a big smile. Time skip. Mom dropped me off at the front of the school, and I walked to class to see Kaken and tell him about my quirk. Bakugo's POV. It's been a week and a half, and Deku still hasn't been at school, which is unusual because he never misses unless something serious happens. I thought as I sat down with my All Might toy. Just then, a short kid with black hair tipped green, freckles, and glowing green eyes walked into the class, beaming with a giant smile as he handed a note to the teacher. Hey, Deku, you okay? You missed an entire week and a half of school. You only do that when something big happens, I asked as he walked past me and sat in his seat. Don't worry, Kaken. You and I are going to become heroes, remember? Heroes can't worry so that civilians feel safe, he said, his smile blinding. The bell rang and the teacher stood up. Did anyone get their quirk over the weekend? Oh, and Midoriya, Can you stand up and tell us about yours? I watched Deku and 2 other students stand up. Okay, when you're ready, you may take turns to show off your quirk and explain how it works. Midoriya, would you like to go first? I watched as Deku nodded and walked to the front. My quirk is called Phantom Life. It is an A+ level quirk, and I am sort of dead. My quirk stops my heart, but regeneration prevents me from fully dying. It allows me to turn into plasma or create plasma. Using the plasma, I can float, burn, melt, and electrocute things. If I control it right, it can explode. When I turn into plasma, I can grow and shrink, change my shape, and I no longer need to sleep, Deku explained. Holy cow, Deku, that's amazing. We'll be heroes in no time with quirks like ours, I said, giving him a high five as he walked past. The 2 other students talked about their quirks, but I didn't listen because who wants to hear about them when we have Deku and me? Time skip. After school, Deku and I went to the park to wait for our mothers and test out our quirks. Deku, turn into Phantom. I want to see how cool you look as a phantom, I said as Deku nodded and walked next to me. Okay then, Kaken. Slowly, Deku and his clothes began to turn into plasma. For now, I'm really slow at transforming, but in time it will get easier. Since I've turned into Phantom mode, do you want to have a race using our quirks? Deku asked as he flew to our usual starting line for when we raced before we had quirks. I usually won, but in time, Deku's natural speed, agility, and flexibility won him a couple of races. But now, we were racing with quirks, and it was a brand new story, me with explosions and Deku with Phantom Life. You sure, Deku? I don't want you to feel bad when I win, I said as I got ready for an explosive start. Oh, I'm sure, so you better be ready, Deku replied as I started the countdown. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Go! In a flash, I launched into the air and past the swings, landing near the monkey bars. I climbed up and swung across. At the end of the monkey bars, I jumped down and ran toward the slide, climbing to the top where I saw Deku already on the final stretch of the run around the park. How is he so far ahead? I still have to climb the net and use the flying fox before running around the park. How did I not see him pass me? I thought before sliding down and sprinting to the net as fast as I could, climbing up and down the other side. I was running toward the flying fox when Deku yelled out, "Done!" as loud as he could. I stopped what I was doing and ran over to him. How were you so fast? I asked, curiosity evident in my voice. Well, I can turn plasma gas into lightning and light, so I transformed into a gas form, the easiest form to control, and flew most of the race. I ran during the running part because it's meant for people to run, not fly, he explained as he walked over and sat on the swings. Well, even though I lost this time, I'm still going to be number 1, I said, striking a pose. Izuku ended up laughing and said, well, you have to get past me first. Oh, and now that I remember, I wanted to ask if you could come over on Saturday for a sleepover. We can have a fight and see who is best at combat, eat pizza, watch a movie. Oh, by the way, I might not sleep. With my ability to not need sleep and my unlimited energy, it's hard to sleep. When he finished talking, my mother showed up, and I asked if I could go to the sleepover. She said, as long as Inko is okay with it, and we are going to drop Izuku off at his place. Inko is out getting some medication. The doctors just called her to get it. Okay, Mom, we said, running over to the car. I was so excited for Saturday. I was going to show Deku that I would be the number 1 hero and he would be the number 2 hero. Izuku's POV. I spent all night practicing my quirk and getting the place ready for Katsuki to arrive. I set up his bed and marked out a fight area outdoors. Now all I needed was for Katsuki to get here, but I still had another hour. I'm so bored. I yelled with a sigh. Why don't you watch the news? That new hero, stopped a bank robbery, saving 3 hostages. My mom suggested as she walked into the doorway. But I need a new book to add M's information to. I finished the last book last week, I said, walking over to my window and opening it to let a nice, soft, cold breeze in. I will get you a new book on Sunday, okay? But if you're not going to watch the news, then maybe you can work on making plasma while still in your human form so that you don't have to transform to use your quirk. You know, giving you an advantage in battle, My mom said as she walked to the kitchen to make Katsuki's favorite food, ghost pepper curry with extra spice. She only makes it for Katsuki. It's way too spicy for my mom and me. Instead, we were having sushi, my mom's favorite. While my mom was cooking, I sat in the living room making small strings of plasma produced from my fingertips. To be honest, it was really hard. The only reason I could do it now was that during one of the tests, Dr. Jacob wanted me to knock a can down from a table without transforming into plasma. If I couldn't change, I had to make it instead. It took 5 hours to even get a bit of plasma to form and 2 days to move it enough to knock the can off. Yes, I did have other tests that stopped me from trying continuously all day, but I got it done in the end. I was able to make and control the plasma produced by my body, but it was harder than using the transformed body parts. I continued to think. Oi, de! Snap out of it! Katsuki yelled, making me jump and absorb the plasma before speaking. Katsuki, when did you get here? Katsuki looked at me and said, Are you deaf? I got here and started yelling your name about 6 minutes ago. Sorry, I was distracted. But, what do you want to do? We can train, fight, watch All Might videos, help mom cook. Oh, sorry, I'm rambling on again. What do you want to do? I asked as we went to my room. Why don't we play video games and then train a bit? Katsuki suggested as we sat on my bed. Sure, sounds like fun, I exclaimed, my famous smile spreading across my face. Katsuki and I played the From Zero to Hero video game for 2 to 3 hours, and like always, Katsuki won. But that was okay because we still had the main fight after dinner. For now, Katsuki and I were in the backyard getting ready to train. So, how do you train your quirk, Katsuki? I asked as I stood opposite him. Well, I'm trying to increase the explosion size because right now they can't get any bigger than a basketball. To do that, I'm running around to improve my body so it can withstand bigger explosions. Once that is done, I'm going to increase the size of the explosion by trying to expand my sweat glands with hot water. What about you? What are you doing? He said as he started jogging around the backyard. Well, I'm working on making plasma without transforming or transforming faster, but I'm going to keep it the first one. How about we make this more fun? I have to use the plasma I make to hit you, and you have to dodge and get closer until you can hit me, I suggested. Katsuki looked at me from the other side of the yard as he ran and yelled out. Sure thing, Death. Let's see who wins. As Kaken said that, I focused on generating plasma from all over my body, shooting mini plasma blasts at him. In the end, Kaken won and tagged me, but now it was dinner time. Kaken had his curry, while my mom and I enjoyed sushi. So, Bakugo, your mom and I were talking about how Izuku got his quirk, and I was wondering how you got yours? Mom asked, taking another bite of her sushi. Well, I was at the park with Izuku, racing, catching bugs, and playing on the equipment when a storm started to approach. A tree branch fell toward another kid, so I ran up to push him out of the way, but instead, I ended up blasting him with an explosion. He was shaken up but okay, except for a burn. I thought, hell yeah, I got my quirk. Now I can be the next #1 hero, even better than All Might. We continued to play until the rain started, or the kid who got hurt went home early. It's only been 2 months, and I can control it, except when I sneeze. It's not fun, but now that Izuku has a quirk, we're going to have to fight each other for the first time after dinner to see who is the best in a fight, Katsuki said, his mouth full of food. Really? Well, good luck to both of you, and don't hurt each other too badly. I don't want to go back to the hospital so soon, Mom said as she picked up her plate to wash it. Don't worry, Inko. I will win before anything bad happens, Kaken yelled, throwing a fist in the air. It was time. Bakugo stood on one side of the yard, Midoriya on the other, both getting ready to fight for the title of #1. Inko was on the sidelines, ready to call out the start. The sun had begun to set, casting a warm orange hue all around. Get ready to be #2, Izuku, Bakugo screamed as he got into a fighting position. We'll just have to see about that, Katsuki, Midoriya replied, also getting into position. All right, I don't want to go back to the hospital so soon, so be careful and good luck. 3, 2, 1, fight. Inko called out, running inside to avoid getting in the way. The moment Inko said, fight, Izuku began to transform as Katsuki charged at him at top speed with a right hook. But Deku sidestepped and executed an axe kick to Katsuki's back. You always start with a right hook. You should change your fighting style once in a while, Deku said. Just as he finished speaking, Bakugo swept Deku off his feet. Oh, but I have, Deku, Bakugo replied, preparing to kick Midoriya in the chest as he got up. But at the last second, Deku finished transforming into a swirling cloud of dark and light greens, with mist for eyes and mouth. Let's see what you do when I'm plasma, Deku declared, starting to shoot bits of himself at Katsuki. Bakugo's POV. I charged at Deku, ready to throw a right hook, but he sent plasma at me, forcing me to jump out of the way and fall face-first to the ground. You can't hurt me if you can't get near me. I seized my chance and dashed toward Deku, dodging plasma blasts all the way before kicking his legs as hard as I could, knocking him over. Oh, but I can, Deku, I said, moving to kick him in the chest to prevent him from getting up. But he transformed into plasma mode. Let's see what you do when I'm plasma, Deku said, throwing bits of himself at me. He had much better aim than before and was faster. How was I supposed to dodge all of this? I screamed as one of the plasma shots hit me on the right side of my stomach and exploded in an electrical burst, knocking me over and forcing the air out of my lungs. I slowly got up, catching my breath as Deku stopped his attack and flew over to me. When he got within arm's length, I unleashed the biggest explosion I could muster and charged at him, watching as the explosion affected the plasma, causing bits of him to revert to normal before shifting back to plasma. You know, you're really good with your quirk. I'm just holding myself together. If I lose concentration, I start to turn back, Deku said, slowly dodging my blows, each punch laced with explosions, getting closer and closer. Deku's POV. He was getting closer with every punch. I wouldn't be able to keep up with all his blows. I had to do something fast or else I was doomed. Phantom time, I shouted, transforming into a state that seemed normal. I was half plasma, half normal. I could get hurt like when I was normal, but in this form, I was faster and could throw weaker plasma blasts, though it cost parts of me until I reconnected or created more plasma. I flew out of the way of a blast, only for Kaken to run after me, boosting himself with his explosions. I dashed at him as fast as lightning and used my strength to hit Kaken in the gut, but he retaliated with an explosion, knocking the wind out of me and sending him back. As I got back up, Kaken pushed me down again and put me in a headlock, applying more force to his grip. I wouldn't faint because I didn't need to breathe. That was a good hit. It knocked all the air out of my lungs, he said, still trying to catch his breath. Inko's POV. I watched Bakugo trying to knock Izuku out by not letting him breathe, but what he didn't know was that Izuku didn't need to breathe. That's when I saw Bakugo raise his hand and start to punch Izuku as hard as he could, hoping to knock him out. That's when I walked out to stop the fight. Bakugo, stop. Izuku has lost, you knocked him out. I yelled as I pulled Izuku out of Bakugo's grasp. I looked him over, finding no injuries, and let out a sigh. By this, I declare you, Bakugo Katsuki, the winner of this fight. Now help me bring Izuku inside so I can tend to both of your injuries. That zap looks bad, I said, pointing to the electrical burn on his belly. All Bakugo did was smile and helped me bring Izuku in. Deku's POV. Ow, my head hurts. What happened? I said as I opened my eyes, only to see Katsuki with a smirk. I beat your butt, number 2, he said. I closed my eyes and put my hands on my face, screaming, ah. You only won because you've had your quirk for about 3 months, while I've only had mine for 2 weeks. You've had more time to practice. I sat up and faced Kaken as he ruffled my hair, saying, You just have to wait until next time we fight. But for now, your mom is getting us some ice cream from the freezer as a treat. She said after that, we need to take showers, get dressed, and brush our teeth before bed, so get up. Kaken said, getting up and walking over to his bag to get his clothes. Fine. I got up and walked over to my room. After Kaken and I had our showers and got dressed, he walked over to the kitchen to find 2 bowls of ice cream and my mom on the phone with Kaken's mom. Well, let's eat our ice cream and brush our teeth before you go to bed, I said as we walked over to the kitchen and grabbed our ice cream, salted caramel, my favorite. What do you mean? I'm going to bed as well. You don't get to have a different bedtime than me. We sat at the dinner table and grabbed our spoons. Kaken put a spoonful in his mouth, letting the sweet flavor and cold texture of the caramel ice cream melt on his tongue, changing his pout to a subtle smile. Well, actually, I don't need to sleep, I said as I put a spoonful in my mouth. What? Why? Kaken yelled, staring at me with his spoon only centimeters away from his mouth. Well, first of all, I'm dead. Second, I'm plasma, and plasma is just a mix of energy, heat, and matter. And third, yes, I can sleep, but it is really hard since I'm so full of energy. You've already knocked me out once today, so I'm not going to be able to sleep for days. I feel like I could run for days on end. I said as I finished my ice cream and walked over to put my bowl in the sink for Mom to wash. Oh, come on. Between the healing thing, turning to plasma, and now this, what can't you do? Kaken questioned as we walked to my room to get ready for bed. Easy, I'll tell you what I can't do, I said as I got into my bed and Kaken got into the bed I made on the extra mattress that's usually under my bed. Well, what is it? He asked. Sleep, I said as Mom walked over to kiss me goodnight and hug Kaken goodnight before turning off the light. I hate you, of course, you say sleep, Kaken said with an annoyed voice and a pout as he crossed his arms and turned away from me. Hey, you are still number one out of us. Be happy, I said as I got out of bed and walked over to the window. Of course, I am number one. Now what are you going to do all night? He asked with an angry voice, trying to seem as if he was still mad at me. He turned over to look at me looking out the window. I think I'm going to think of ways to beat you until you fall asleep. Once you're asleep, I think I'm going to do some research on plasma so I don't get bored and learn more about my quirk. I'm allowed to watch the news if I want, but you need to get some sleep. You're not dead like me, Kaken said as he lay down. Just don't wake me up, stupid nerd. Even the number one hero needs to sleep once in a while. Izuku's POV. Today is Kaken's and my first day at junior high. We are both 10, and I can say that I'm really excited, but Kaken isn't. Why do we future heroes need to go to a crappy junior high like this? He said, clearly not thrilled. Well, look on the bright side. 3 more years and we can go to UA, that is, if we get in, I said, trying to cheer him up. Of course, we will get in. It's impossible for us not to get in. We have been working hard training ourselves and our quirks for the past 6 years. Actually, you might not make it, ya only wants the best and you're still second, Kaken said as he punched my shoulder. I'm only second by 3 points. Besides, I was first for the past month, I replied as we walked through the school gates. Well, my point still stands. At this point in time, the points are 155 to 158 my way, he said with a smirk. Well, can you stop with the points and help me find the classroom? I sighed. Fine, come on this way, he said as he dragged me down the hall and into a room. As always, you can find your way anywhere. You've got to teach me your secret, I said as we went over and got ourselves a seat with me sitting behind Kaken. You know, no matter how many times I try to teach you directions, you're still going to fail, Bakugo said, putting his feet on the table as I got my books out of my bright yellow bag Mom got me for my birthday. All right, class, settle down. As you know, today is your first day here, so to help you all settle in, we are going to have an easy day with little to no work. But before that, I want to know what all your quirks and names are. So we are going to have a quirk show out on the field. At that moment, Kaken and I looked at each other and nodded, knowing what we were both thinking. You want a quirk show? You just got yourself a quirk show. Everybody cheered about getting to use their quirks and got up, ready to head out to put on a quirk show. Kaken and I walked next to each other, brainstorming ideas. When we got outside, our teacher stepped into a circle and said, when I call your name, I want you to walk out here, introduce yourself, share a hobby or two, and then put on a show with your quirk. You can also just tell us what your quirk and name are, okay? We all nodded, and the teacher began calling names. Kids put on their shows, and Kaken kept giving them nicknames like Pinocchio, Airhead, Flashlight, Fish Face, and Flaming Potato, which were some of the nicer names. After a while, it was Kaken's turn, and as always, it went off with a bang, literally. If I hadn't turned to plasma to stop the explosion from reaching the class, there would have been no more class. As Kaken left the circle, he was given detention, and most of the class thanked me for saving them. Eventually, it was my turn, so I walked up to the circle and said, "Sorry about Kaken. He just didn't wake up on the right side of the bed. I'm Izuku Midoriya. I like to train my quirk, Phantom Life, with my best friend Kaken. As you saw earlier, I can turn to plasma, but I am also dead. Well, not really. I say it's like I'm a phantom, which is a ghost, by the way. So, for my show, I decided to make it a little bit scary, so stay near your friends," I said with a big smile. Deku walked backward as a thick green fog surrounded the field, with green lightning crackling inside. Footsteps echoed from within, running around the class as the wind picked up and spun the fog into a tornado-like form. Laughter could be heard from inside. By now, most people were either scared or getting ready to fight off whatever came next, but Kaken was just watching, amused by what was happening. Then some of the fog thickened and gathered just behind the group, but the only one to see this was Kaken. Deku then screamed, "Boo!" as loud as possible in his phantom form, literally making everyone but Kaken scream or jump, even the teacher. Both Deku and Kaken started to laugh, collapsing on the floor as Kaken wheezed at the other students' faces. After a bit, Deku cleared the mist and said he was sorry, but the teacher did say he wanted a show. He also mentioned that Deku could join Kaken in detention. At the end of the show, Katsuki and Midoriya had to serve detention, but they were dubbed the strongest out of the first years, so that was something. Time skip brought to you by Uraraka floating her vegetables into the sun. Kaken's POV. "Well, I'm pretty sure we aren't going to make any friends after today's show," Deku said as we walked home. "When did you start to think that? After you gave the class a heart attack, or just then?" I scoffed as Deku rolled his eyes. "I don't know, maybe after you tried to scare everyone," Deku remarked. "I knew you would save them, so what are you so upset about?" I asked, and he just shrugged, patting my back. "We are so going to be in trouble with our mothers." As soon as Deku said that, I stopped walking. "Okay, I'm just going to go the other way. See you never, I'm not coming back." I then started to run away as fast as I could, but I bumped into someone and fell backward. That's when I heard the growls the person was making. I already knew who it was, but how did my mother get here so fast, right as I was about to run away? "Hello, Midoriya. How are you, honey?" Mom said in a happy voice. "I've been good, Aunt Mitsuki. How are you?" Deku asked. "I've been better, but don't think you're going to get away with what you did at school." Izuku put on a smile and rubbed the back of his head. "Sorry, Aunt Mitsuki. I won't do it again, but I better leave you and Kaken. I have to get home. I believe I have a scolding to get to. Bye, Kaken, Aunt Mitsuki." Not even a split second after Izuku was out of sight, Mom turned to see me crawling away, and her personality took a full, "Katsuki Bakugo, prepare for a lifetime of trouble." The only thing I could say before being dragged away by the ear was, "I pray to have a powerful quirk in my next life." Izuku's POV. I was running down the street, thinking of the past as I headed to school, but on my way, there was a villain attack on the street. The first incident was in Qingxing City. An extraordinary child was born who radiated light, with terrified screams in the background. After that, reports of people with superpowers popped up across the globe. No one knew what was causing these quirks. Before long, the supernatural became the totally normal. Dreams became a reality, and the world transformed into a superhuman society, with about 80% of the population possessing some uncanny ability. Our streets looked like scenes from comic books, and our cities swirled with chaos and confusion. A new profession dominated our collective consciousness. It was an age of heroes. The giant villain then hit the power pole of the building, but one of the heroes ran up and caught it before it hit the ground. "Oh, nice way to go, Death Arms," the civilians yelled out. "The punching hero, Death Arms. I wish I had a quirk to make me super strong." The crowd cheered as a stream of water passed in front of them, creating a barrier. "Everyone, please stay back. This area is far too dangerous," another hero said as he controlled the water. "Wow, the rescue specialist, Backdraft, is here. He will make sure we are okay," the civilians remarked. This guy must be pretty desperate to go full monster in the middle of the city. Do you know what happened? One man asked. Just some amateur stole someone's bag and then got himself cornered, another man replied. A quirk like that, and he's just a petty thief, the first man said. I got held up, the trains are down. Another villain. I'm not sure when I'm going to make it into the office, another man said while talking on his phone. It's Kamui Woods. We're your biggest fans, screamed a group of fangirls as Kamui Woods ran down the street, jumped onto a wall, and positioned himself above the villain. When the villain attacked, he shouted, "Get away from me, or I'll break you, toothpick." I pushed my way to the front of the group to see the fight. Oh, this is going to be good. Kamui Woods then used his arbor quirk to swing his way onto the railway. He may be new, but he is making a big name for himself, I yelled out. One look at that goofy grin, and I know you're a fanboy, said the man next to me. Sort of, I replied, looking away. Kamui then runs across the rails as the monster slams his hand down, trying to squash Kamui, but he dodges and runs up the villain's arm. Kamui uses his arbor quirk to grab hold of the villain's other hand and swings around it, letting go and landing on a building. Assault, robbery, and illegal. Use of powers during rush hour traffic. You are the incarnation of evil, Kamui declares as he stretches his arm out, ready to use his special move. There's his special move, I say, pointing at Kamui. Come on, tree man, show us something flashy, the man next to me urges. The preemptive, I say. Binding. Kamui yells. Lacquered chains prison, we shout in unison. The villain tries to block the attack, but then a giant lady yells, Canyon Cannon, kicking the villain in the face, shocking all the heroes and civilians. The impact knocks the villain unconscious and interrupts Kamui's special move. As she and the villain land on the ground, photographers start taking pictures, shouting, booty shot, booty shot, booty shot. The hero poses and says, piece of cake for the world's next hottest hero. Hi there, everyone. I'm Mount Lady, and you don't need to worry about this bum anymore. She sticks her butt out more, prompting the photographers to chant, booty shot, booty shot, booty shot. Again, she's getting all the credit, Kamui Woods mutters. With the rise of superpowers came an explosive increase in criminal activity. While governments struggled to reform laws with quirks in mind, courageous individuals began performing heroic acts to keep our city safe, protecting us from villains who abused their powers for evil. With overwhelming public support, heroes found an official place as peacekeepers overseen by the government. Those who performed the best were paid the most and received all the fame and glory. Their careers depended on their ability to stay in the spotlight. Gigantification, huh? Well, she definitely has the looks and attitude to be a crowd favorite, and her quirk is really showy, but it will be kind of hard for her to get around the city without causing damage, which means she might not be very useful. I mumble as I write in my book. What's that, fanboy? You taking notes over there? Want to be a hero too, huh? Asks the man who was next to me earlier. Yes, more than anything, I reply with a big, happy smile. Bakugo's POV. The teacher walked in and said, so, as third-year students, it's time to start thinking seriously about your futures and what you want to do with your lives. I could pass out some career aptitude tests, but why bother? He throws the tests into the air and yells, I know you all want to go to the hero track. All the students, except Izuku and myself, cheer, showing off their quirks. Yes, you've got some really impressive quirks, but no power usage allowed at school. Get a hold of yourselves, the teacher says, trying to quiet the class. Hey, teach, don't lump me in with this bunch of losers. Deku and I are the real deal, but these guys will be lucky to end up as sidekicks to some B-list hero, huh? I say as the rest of the class, except Izuku, screams and yells. You think you're better than us, Katsuki? One of them retorts. I sit up straight. Let's go. I'll take you all on, I calmly say. Huh? You've got impressive test results. Maybe you will get into UA High, the teacher says. They're going to try to go to the national school, one kid comments. That school has a 0.2 acceptance rate. It's impossible to get into, someone else adds. That's why it's the only place worthy of Deku and me, I say, jumping onto the top of the desk. We aced all the mock tests. We are the only ones at this school that stand a chance at getting in. We will end up more popular than All Might himself and be the richest heroes of all time. People all across the world will know who we are, and it all starts at UA High. The entire class went silent before breaking out in laughter. Look, we all know you two are strong, but as if you'll get into UA, said one student, which prompted me to explode his desk. Listen up, extra. When I'm number one and you're nothing, don't come begging to me for help. Deku stands up and walks over to me, putting a hand on my shoulder. Calm down, Kaken. We still have to keep a good record if we are going to get into UA, he says as he pulls me away from the cowering student. Fine, just don't get your quirk in a knot, I reply as Deku drags me back to my seat with his superhuman strength. Thank you, Midoriya. Now that that's over, let's get to work, the teacher says. Switching to a different scene, a woman with a force field quirk screams, alerting a shop worker. Hey, get back here, he yells. Somebody catch that monster. Another man shouts as the sludge monster laughs while running away with the money he stole. Yell all you want, suckers. This cash is mine. The sludge man taunts as he runs past a group of civilians. Darn it, where are all the heroes? Normally someone would swoop in right away, one civilian says. Maybe they're all busy from that scene this morning, another replies. Remember when we didn't have to worry about villains with quirks all the time? Someone else adds. Seriously, there's no stopping them. Behind the talking civilians, a man walks out of a shop and inflates. Yes, there is. You know why? The sludge monster then sees the man. I am here. Switching back to school, Izuku's POV. Hurry up, Dad. I want to train this afternoon, Kaken says as he walks to the door. I don't want to forget anything, Kaken. You can go, I will catch up by taking the tunnel route, I say as I start to put my books away. Fine, just don't be late. See you later, Deku, he replies as he walks out of the room. You know I won't be late, you can count on me. I yell. I better be able to, Kaken yells back without even looking. Time skip brought to you by Present Mike screaming, yeah. I've got to hurry up or else Kaken is going to explode, I think as I run through the tunnels. That's when I hear it, a slushing sound. I turn around only to see a villain. A villain, I stammer, staring at a giant green slime monster. The only physical features it has are its eyes and mouth. You will make a perfect skin suit for me to hide in, kid. I turn and start to run, but the sludge monster pounces on me. As I struggle to get away, he begins to shove his sludge body into mine. Don't worry, kid. I'm just taking over your body. It will be easier for both of us if you don't fight back. It will only hurt for a minute. You'll feel better soon, ha-hee-hee. I can't let this guy escape, I scream in my head. Thanks for the help. You're a real hero to me, kid. I didn't know he was in the city. I have to get out before he tracks me down, the slime says as he looks around. On 3, I must stop this guy. 1 The sewer lid goes flying. Have no fear, for I am here. All Might yells as he steps out of the sewer. The sludge monster then launches his fist at All Might in a panicked attempt to stop him, but it's too late. All Might is already screaming one of his finishing moves. Texas Smash. He punches the air, sending a big gust at the monster. I can't stay. Together, the monster grunts as the air pressure splits him apart. The same punch sends me flying, slamming into a wall, but I'm okay thanks to the regenerative part of my quirk. With a groan, I sit up and say, oh my god, that was so much fun. I stretch out. Let's do that again. The thrill of being in danger, then being saved. Wait, All Might. Oh my god, can I get your autograph? I scream when I finally notice All Might walking past me to get to the slime. Sure, just let me get all this slime, he booms. I stand up and grab my book as I watch All Might trying and struggling to get all the slime into 2 plastic bottles. Do you need some help collecting all the slime, All Might? I ask as he turns to me. No, it's all right. It's a hero's job to capture the villain. Now, I thought you would be completely knocked out after you hit your head on the wall. I am truly sorry, I didn't even see you earlier. But you are strong. You will make a fine hero. Just stop with it, it's fun to be in danger, okay? He questions. All Might then turns around to continue collecting slime. Here, let me do it, I say as I create some plasma and manipulate it to grab all the sludge and put it in the bottles. Why didn't you use your quirk to escape? After seeing this, you could have gotten away easily, All Might asks, screwing the lid on the bottle. I was going to, but you showed up at the last second, so I just let you do your job to avoid getting you caught in my attack, I say, shrugging my shoulders as I hand All Might my book to sign. You don't need to worry about me, I would be fine. But thank you for considering others. I then raise an eyebrow and ask, so you can withstand pure plasma turned into lightning shooting straight into your body thanks to you touching the slime? That's something new, but I guess you are All Might. I look at him and he just stares back with a blank face. I didn't think so. Well, thank you for signing my book. I best be off now, I will be late for training with Kakin at this rate. Bye, All Might, I say with a wave, turning around and walking off. Be safe, young man. I best be off. Scene swapped to somewhere in an alleyway. Kakin's POV. Stupid Deku. He said he would be here on time, but he's 6 minutes late, I say, kicking a bottle. It hits a pole and cracks open, letting some sort of sludge out. Next thing I know, the sludge grows into a massive slime monster. Perfect. I like a skin suit with some fire, ha-hee-hee, the monster says as it grabs me, dragging me onto the street. I try to escape using explosions, but nothing works. I keep attacking as the monster forces itself down my throat. People are running away as my explosions start fires and destroy things. That's when the heroes arrive. It's taken someone hostage, Kamui says as Death Arms slams his fists together and runs at the villain. How dare you prey on a child? He shouts as he runs, jumps, and punches the villain, only to have his arm esigi into the slime. What the hell is this? It's some kind of goo, he says as he is thrown back into a metal pole. That's when another hero runs up and asks, Are you okay, Death Arms? But before he can reply, Kamui yells, Heads up, as the sludge monster attacks, but he dodges just in time. Stay back or I will snap his neck, the villain mocks as he shows me off like a prize. As I continue to have sludge shoved down my throat, black starts to creep into the corners of my eyesight from the lack of oxygen. I use all my remaining strength to push my head and chest out of the sludge to breathe. You picked the wrong guy to mess with. I'm going to send you back to whatever sewer you crawled out of. I yell as I unleash more explosions. Let me go! I shout, creating an explosion so big it pushes the heroes back. You've got so much power. I really hit the jackpot. With a quirk like yours, I can take All Might down with one punch, the villain says as he starts to expand in size. Wow, is that some type of special move? This dude is a legit supervillain, says one guy in the crowd. Oh my god, it's her, the new hero lady. She will stop him, a lady said. My only weakness. I'm at least going to need a 2-lane road if I'm going to make my way through here, she complained as Kamui saved more people while hanging off the side of a building, yelling over the screams and crackling of the fire. Fire and wood don't exactly make a good combination. I'll let someone else stop the guy. Backdraft, who was putting out fires, replied, Don't look at me. I've got my hands full here. Where are those fire trucks? Can you guys get to it? He asked Death Arms and the other heroes. I can't get a grip on his weird body, plus that kid's quirk is causing explosions left and right. This is a shootout, but we have to rally and knock him out of the park somehow, Death Arms cursed. The villain laughed as he attacked the heroes. Incoming! One of the heroes shouted. It's no good, none of us have the right quirks to stop a villain like this, Death Arms yelled. We'll do damage control until someone with the right powers shows up, Kamui said. There are still plenty of people to save, Backdraft yelled back. Kamui saved another person before yelling, Don't worry. I bet every hero in the city is coming. Death Arms was shaking in anger, thinking, Sorry kid, you just have to hold on a little bit longer, before yelling, If I only had a bit more power, I could blow this guy away. As a skeleton-looking guy ran into the crowd, he thought, Demon. I must have dropped him in the air. I was distracted worrying about my time limit. I can't believe I made such a rookie mistake. I'm pathetic, as he held his hand over his side. Deku's POV. I walked over to a crowd of people on my way to train. I thought I saw an explosion and sure enough, it was Kaken, but today he was the one being attacked by the sludge monster. How long had he been in there? He wasn't like me, he needed to breathe, and the heroes couldn't do anything. If I went out there, I would get in trouble with the law. What do I do? That's when Kaken's eyes locked with mine, begging for help. I couldn't do nothing, he was my best friend, and he needed help. I muttered, fine, and thought of a plan before pushing my way to the front and running past the barrier and the heroes, stopping about 5 meters away from the sludge villain before I started to clap. Really, Kaken? I would expect better than this from you. Oh well, the heroes can't do anything so I must, I said with a sigh, seeing Kaken's face grow a smirk. Hey kid, it's not safe. Get back here. The heroes shouted as I just waved them off. Not this brat again, the sludge man said as he got ready to attack. Deku, Kaken said as I started to walk over. The sludge attacked, but I dodged as people screamed. Let's see who wins, plasma or sludge, I said, making plasma cover the floor with an evil smile as I continued to walk forward. The sludge kept attacking but never hit me, never noticing the plasma. Until I was right in front of him, I shoved my hand into its body, grabbed Kaken's hand, and pulled him out with my undead strength. Kaken, you remember the Quirk show? I was just thinking maybe I should give this guy a look. What do you think? I asked as he stood up straight. Go ahead, but this one-man show just became two. He is going to pay. I then made more plasma, spreading it out and absorbing the heat from the fire, putting it out in the process. I then turned to phantom mode, flying into the mist and disappearing as Kaken walked in the mist, trying to stay silent. The mist was about 6 to 7 meters tall and spread out on the street. Kamui Woods POV. I watched as a green-haired kid ran out past the safe zone, clapping slowly as if mocking someone. Really, Kaken? I would expect better than this from you. Oh well, the heroes can't do anything so I must. The other heroes and I tried to get him to come back, but he just waved us off. Not this brat again, the sludge villain said. Wait, do they know each other? I asked. Maybe. We'll need to question the kid. Once this is over, said Death Arms. The kid then started to walk closer as the villain attacked. Get away, kid. I screamed as we watched the sludge crush him, and the citizens screamed. That's when we heard him say, let's see who wins, plasma or sludge. A green mist started to form on the floor, and with a smirk, he continued to walk closer to the sludge as it kept attacking. What is wrong with this kid? He isn't even scared. I yelled as none of the villain's attacks hit. Once he was in front of the villain, he reached his hand into the sludge, grabbing Kaken and pulling him out with abnormal strength. I watched as the kid talked to the explosion kid, hearing bits like show, give, to, and pay. That's when the mist grew, and within seconds, we couldn't see a thing, but we could feel the fires go out. For the next 3 minutes, all we heard were explosions, screams, laughter, and zapping. There were lights igniting fires and explosions. Then the mist disappeared, revealing the green-haired boy. The boy then looked at us heroes and walked up to me, handing me a bottle. There are more bottles back there. Make sure you get them all. He gave me a smile and walked over to Death Arms. What the hell happened in there? Death Arms POV. I watched the kid talk to Kamui before he walked up to me. You're going to need my statement. Let's get this done quick. Kaken and I still have to train. I nodded, and we walked over to the police to give our statements. So, what's your name, age, and quirk? I asked, and he just smiled and said in a childish voice, my name is Izuku Midoriya, age 14, and my quirk is Phantom Life. Okay, then what happened in that green mist? I was cut off by him saying, plasma. What? Plasma. It's plasma, not mist, he said in a stern voice. As for what happened, I raised the plasma so the villain could not see, then I made a little storm of lightning, a mini tornado of plasma fire, and ran around him laughing as Kaken and I randomly hit him with explosions and plasma blasts. Is that all? When you went up to the villain, why did he say, not this brat again? I asked as he sighed. I was attacked by the same monster earlier today, but All Might stopped and captured him. So my question is, how did he get out? He says as he turns to look at the other kid before going to get him to make his statement. Good question, kid. I reply, watching the other one walk over to me as he answers questions from the media. Hey, Deku says you want to talk. What do you want to know? He seems mad, but I still need to find out what happened. What's your name, age, and quirk? He clicks his tongue. Katsuki Bakugo, age 14, quirk, explosion. This is going to be a long day, I think, as he answers all my questions. Izuku POV. Kaken and I are on our way to the Quirk gym where we train when he suddenly says, "Thanks for saving me, Deku." His ears turn red from embarrassment. What? You don't need to apologize, it's what friends are for, I say with my usual smile. Katsuki smirks. Don't think this makes you better than me, he says in an angry tone. But if anyone got to know him, they would say he wasn't really angry or happy, he was just Bakugo, and that was the only way to describe him. Hey, Kaken, you know how when we were kids you said we would work together to become the best heroes? Do you really think we can? I ask. Yes, you've calmed your attitude from die to go to hell, but that's not a fair comparison. Still, how will people react to our quirks? People always called us villains for the boom. Katsuki interrupts. If that's what they want to think, let them. But we are not villains, and we will show it by becoming number one. Kaken says in an angry voice, clearly not liking what I said. I sigh. Sorry, Kaken, but you're right. Who cares what they think? Only what we think matters, so let's become number one. I say as I start to skip while Katsuki just walks. I turn around and skip backward to talk to Kaken, but he stops and stares with wide eyes. What's wrong, Kaken? I ask as I skip into a wall. Huh? Hello, young heroes. I am so happy to have caught up with you. I would like to talk to you. I turn around only to realize the wall is actually All Might. Oh, All Might, you scared me for a second. What do you want to talk about? I ask as Kaken walks up to me. What do you mean, oh All Might? Like you know each other? You're meant to be going, oh my god, it's the number one hero. Can I have your autograph? He yells as he stands next to me. What do you want? We need to get to training. He grumbles as he looks at All Might. I have come to say that you can become heroes, and I would like to train you myself, All Might says in his booming voice. No thanks, I'm good, I reply as I walk past All Might. Yeah, same here, Kaken says, catching up to me. What? Why don't you want to be trained by the number one hero? You want to be the best, don't you? He asks, turning around and starting to steam. Yeah, we want to be number one, but we want to earn it on our own. It would be cheating to be trained and learn all of your moves, so no thank you. Now we really must be going, I say as I turn down the street. Before I do, I catch a glimpse of All Might, wide-mouthed and steaming. See ya, All Might. You won't be number one once we are heroes, Kaken says as he follows me around the corner and down the street to the gym. All Might POV. These kids are strong, so maybe they will surpass me and become number one. But for now, since they don't want to train with me to see if they have what it takes to be my successors, I have to keep looking. But I will keep my eye on them. I then turn into my weaker form, sigh, and start to walk home. Be safe, kids. You will make great heroes one day, just don't do anything reckless. Kaken POV. Man, that was something, don't you think, Izuku? All Might wanted to train us, I say as I look at Izuku while we walk to the gym, only 6 or maybe 7 houses down the road. Yeah, but remember that we promised we would become the best together. We don't need his help, only my strategies and your power, he replies as we get closer. Hey, I'm smart and you're strong as well, don't forget it. I yell as he looks at me with a small smile. You know, I ran into All Might earlier when the sludge monster attacked me. I got you something, Izuku says, opening his bag and looking through it until he finds his hero book. Yeah? What is it this time? I ask, hoping he didn't steal some sludge. I got you this, he says as we walk into the gym and over to our training room, pointing to a page signed by All Might. I know you have too much pride to ask, so I got him to sign it for you, Deku says as we put our stuff in the locker. Thanks, but put it away. We still need to prove we do not need his help. We can do this by ourselves. He nods and puts the book in his yellow backpack, which has burns from the fight covering it up. Okay then, let's see who wins this point, he says with a smirk as he closes the locker. You know I'm going to win, there's no doubt about it, I reply, returning his smirk. Oh yeah? Let's see about that. I've been working on a new move, he says, getting into a fighting position. Well, that makes two of us. We stand there, waiting for someone to make the first move. I clench my fist and run at him, sending a powerful shockwave with a hint of fire. Rattle wave! I shout as he transforms into plasma and begins to fly into the air, taking the shape of a bird. His bones are visible and a green glow shines from his eye sockets. Death bird! He yells as he flaps his wings and flies at me with great speed before slamming headfirst into the ground, causing the plasma to explode and spread around me. Not again, I groan, unable to see as usual. Come and get me, Izuku taunts as we continue to train for UA. 10 months later, from Deku's point of view. This is the day Kaken and I have been waiting for, the day we take the test to get into UA, our dream school. Kaken and I are currently on the train heading there. Deku, do you remember our bet from last week? Kaken asks me with a smirk. Yeah, I do. Whoever performs better gets to make the other do one thing without complaint. As if I would forget, I reply, grinning. Get ready to lose because you're going to be doing my chores until the end of the year, he says as the train stops at our station, and he stands up to get off. Yeah, not going to happen. I will win, I declare as we step off the train and start walking toward the giant gates of UA. We made it just in time, I state, my legs shaking slightly. Whatever, hurry up before I set you on fire, Kaken growls, putting on his tough guy act. I chuckle and pretend to be scared as he walks past me. Okay, let's just do our best out there. Good luck, I say, watching a smirk grow on his face as he walks ahead. Other students start to talk about us. Hey, aren't those the kids who beat the sludge villain? Their names are Bakugo and Midoriya, right? Yeah, they're the real deal. They think we were the real deal back then. Well, they're wrong. After all the work we've put in, we are going to become heroes, I think, as I start to walk again. But I don't even make 2 steps before I trip over my own foot. Or I will just fall, I think, as I prepare to transform into plasma, but before I can, I stop falling. Are you okay? A girl's voice asks. I look around until I find her next to me. She gently sets me down on the ground before continuing. I stopped you with my quirk. Sorry I didn't ask first, but I figured you wouldn't mind me catching you. She smiles and puts her hands together while I stare at her. She has a brown bob cut, rosy cheeks, and big brown eyes. She looks really nice, and her quirk is amazing. Isn't this all so nerve-wracking? She says, looking up with her eyes closed. I stutter. Well, I guess I'll see you inside, she says, glancing at me before walking off. Bye, I manage to say, still staring as she walks away. Oh wow, when this gets to Kaken, he will say I'm weak for needing a girl to save me. Time skip to exam orientation, thanks to Aoyama's sparkle. I sit in my seat next to Kaken as the stage lights turn on one by one. What's up, UA examinees? Thanks for tuning in to me, your school DJ. Come on and let me hear you. Present Mike yelled, putting a hand to his ear. But nothing happened, just dead silence. Keeping it mellow, huh? That's fine. I'll skip straight to the main show. Let's talk about how this practical exam is going to go down. Okay, are you ready? Yeah, he sang before falling silent as he waited for a reply. Oh my goodness, it's the voice hero Present Mike. So cool. I listen to his radio show every day of the week. It's so crazy that the UA teachers are pro-heroes, I mumbled as I listened to what he was saying. Can you shut up? Kaken said without even looking at me. Like your application says, today you are rocking. Boys and girls will be out conducting 10-minute mock battles in suburban cities. Get your cards, my friends. After I drop the mic here, you head to your specified battle centers. Is that good? He said as we looked at our cards while Present Mike screamed. Okay. That's when Kaken looked at me and said, I see they're splitting us up so we can't work with any of our friends. I then looked at my card and then his. Yeah, you're right. Our examinee numbers are one after the other, but we are assigned to different battle centers, I stated as he said, get your eyes off my card. He said in an annoyed voice, darn it, I was really looking forward to crushing you. I just chuckled quietly. Okay, let's check out your targets. There are 3 types of fool villains in every battle center. You will earn points based on the level of difficulty, so you better choose wisely. Your goal in this trial is to use your quirk to raise your score by defeating these fool villains like a new song on a guitar solo. But check it, make sure you're keeping things heroic. Attacking other examinees is a no, you dig? He yelled as he turned to the examinees. Excuse me, sir, but I have a question, a tall blue-haired guy with glasses said as he stood up, hand raised. Hit me, Mike yelled as he pointed to the kid, and some lights shone on him. On the printout, you've listed 4 types of villains, not 3. With all due respect, if this is an error in official UA materials, it is shameful. We are exemplary students, and we expect the best from Japan's most notable school. A mistake such as this won't do. He then turned to me and pointed. Additionally, you with the unkempt hair. He stated as I pointed to myself. You've been muttering this entire time. Stop that. If you can't bother to take this seriously, then leave. You're distracting the rest of us. He sternly said as I mumbled an apology. All right, examinee number 7111, thanks for calling in with your request. The 4th villain is worth 0 points. That guy is just an obstacle we will be throwing in your way. There's one in every battle center. Think of it as a hurdle. Because you're trying to avoid it, it's not that it can't be beaten, but there's kind of no point. I recommend my listeners try to ignore it and focus on the ones at the top of the chart. The kid then sat down after bowing and saying, thank you very much. Please continue. Some people nearby said, oh, I get it. They're kind of like the traps you have to get by in games. The whole thing is like a video game, Present Mike then continued. That's all that I got for you today. I sign off with a little present, a sample of our school motto. As General Napoleon William Bonaparte once said, a true hero is one who overcomes life's misfortunes. Plus ultra, he yelled, raising his hands as I looked at my paper. Good luck. Hope you practiced more than just books. The scene shifted to ground beta. Well, this is it. Time to put years' worth of training with Kaken to the test. Time to give it my all. I will become a hero just like I always dreamed. I won't let myself down. Izuku's POV. Mock battles? How can everybody be so confident? Aren't they nervous? They even have equipment to go with their quirks. Oh, it's the person I met at the school gates. The nice person. She was assigned to the same battle center. Oh yeah, I have to thank her for earlier, I said as I started to walk toward her, only to have someone put their hand on my shoulder. I turned to face them. That girl appears to be trying to focus. What are you doing here? Are you taking the entrance exam just to interfere with everyone else? It was the same guy who called me out during the orientation. No, of course not, I said with a smirk, staring the guy in the eyes. That guy's the one who was called out in front of the school gates, right? The one who winced after being called out? At least we have one less rival to worry about, huh? Lucky for us, some other people said. I feel like the others think they lucked. Out because I'm here, just wait, I thought as I prepared to generate as much plasma as possible. Start, yelled Present Mike. In the blink of an eye, I created so much plasma that it was hard to see, unless you were me. I ran as fast as I could, generating plasma as I went. I then heard Present Mike yell, holy cow, wait. Hurry up. There are no countdowns in a real fight. That's when I felt the others start to move in my plasma. I was running down a street when a building wall burst down, and a one-pointer came through. Target acquired. I'll eliminate you, it said in a robotic voice. I ran at it, transforming into plasma, and flowed through its cracks before emerging on the other side. Too easy, I said, glancing back at the slowly melting robot. All I had to do was superheat the plasma to the point that it melted its insides. What's next? I continued to run, doing the same to every robot I encountered. As I got closer to the center, I started to see destroyed villains everywhere. All right, now I can go big, I said, my smile growing. I raised my hand and snapped my fingers. Suddenly, explosions erupted everywhere my plasma touched. When the explosions stopped, I lowered my hand and smiled, watching as people stared at the aftermath. I had electrified the robots with so much power that they exploded. That was way too easy. Did they have anything cool I could destroy? Oh, come on, people. You've all seen an explosion at least once. Snap out of it and take down some robots. I yelled as I began to absorb the plasma back to me. I then turned and walked to a bench to watch the others. I couldn't get all the points myself. I watched as a nice girl floated and then dropped some robots. That's 28 points, she said, panting. Then a rude guy flew past me, jumped, and slammed into a robot, yelling, 45 points. I thought, I already know what Kaken will call him. Then some guy ripped a robot's arm off and threw it in the air. That's 32. That one's mine. Don't take it. It's first come, first serve. The scene shifted to the camera room, where Aizawa had transformed into a butterfly. In this practical exam, the examinees have not been informed of the number of villains or their locations. They have a limited amount of time in this vast area. They must draw the villains out of their hiding places. Information gathering ability to understand the situation before anyone else, mobility that can be used in many different circumstances, staying calm in any situation, and pure combat ability are the basic skills needed to maintain peace in the streets. These skills are turned into points in this test, a small bear rat dog creature said. Doesn't this year's group look promising? Well, we can't know for sure yet. Their true test is still to come, some people in the room said as someone pressed a red button. The scene shifted back to the field from Izuku's perspective, brought to you by Present Mike, who was running after a certain butterfly. I was minding my own business, watching the others fight as I sat on the bench when suddenly there was an explosion, and I didn't think it was Katsuki. The ground started to shake, and everyone began to panic, watching the explosions. But then they looked at me and I said, wasn't me this time. Just continue doing what you were doing, I will deal with it. I got up and walked to the front of the crowd. A giant robot, bigger than the buildings, then emerged and smashed a building, destroying the road. Everyone started to run away as I just stood there, watching the robot. Present Mike then yelled, less than 2 minutes left. All at once, everybody was running for their lives. I looked around and heard someone in pain. I turned to where the sound came from and saw the nice girl stuck under some rubble. In that very second, I screamed as plasma exploded around me in a burst. It quickly began to wrap around the robot as I ran to the girl and used plasma to gently remove the rubble. I then used it to move her to the gate. I stood up and looked at the robot, seeing that most of it was covered in plasma. Plasma burst! I shouted, scrunching my hand into a fist. The robot began to glow as the plasma turned purple while I heated and compressed it. The plasma kept getting brighter, and sparks started to appear before the plasma exploded in a flash of white, green, and purple light. Only seconds later, I fell to my knees with a smirk. Using so much power at once seems to have made my legs give in. Oh well, that's one more weakness to add to the list. I wonder how Kaken did. I know he will get in, but how many points did he score? Oh well, I'll have to ask him later. I then very slowly got up to ensure I didn't hurt anyone in my burst of anger and checked on how the girl was doing. I started to walk slowly, feeling my muscles strain when suddenly an alarm went off, and Present Mike yelled, "Time's up." But I didn't stop. I continued to walk as everybody just stared at me. Okay, good work, good work. Here are some gummies, eat some gummies, an old lady I recognized as Recovery Girl said. That's when a fancy blonde kid said, "That mademoiselle is the backbone of you." She then walked up to me and said, "Oh my, you were hurt by your own quirk this much." She looked up at me. "I'm fine, my quirk has regeneration in it. It's the others you need to worry about," I replied as I walked past her. "If you say so, just sit down and rest for now, okay?" she asked. I shook my head and walked up to the girl. "Are you okay?" I questioned. Yes, thank you for saving me," she said with a smile, and I smiled back. "Well, I have to go. Hopefully you get in." Bye, I said as I walked out to see Kaken waiting for me. Took you long enough, he said with a smirk as we started to walk back at a slower pace since I was still wobbly. I'm going to guess you had fun destroying the robots, Kaken, I said as we walked back. Hell yeah. It was so much fun taking down everything that moves, Kaken replied, letting a small explosion escape from his closed fist. Huh, that's just like you to think that. Time skip to dinner, brought to you by Uraraka floating Bakugo into space. Izuku? 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 Hey, are you all right? Why are you smiling at that fish for quite some time? My mom questioned as I snapped out of my daze. Oh, sorry, I'm fine, I said as I started to eat my dinner. After a couple of days, I began to think. From self-scoring, I know I passed the written exam. I don't know how many points I got in the practical exam, but I think I got enough to get in. That's when Mom said, the results should arrive today or tomorrow, right? I turned to face her. Yeah. She smiled and continued, geez, I think it's amazing you even applied to go to U. My mom then walked off to check the mail, and not even a minute later, she burst through the door on all fours, screaming my name. It's here. It finally came. It's here, she said in a frantic state as she held a UA letter in her hand. I stood up, grabbed the letter, and walked to my room, closing the door. I could hear my mom walking in the hallway next to my room. I then sat at my desk and looked at the letter before ripping it in half. A gray disc fell out onto my desk before it lit up, and a screen appeared with All Might's face on it, yelling, I am here as a projection. I stepped back and yelled, All Might, wait. This is from UA, right? I watched in shock. Sorry, but I came to this town to work at UA, he said with a bow. Might is working at UA. A hand then popped up on the screen, telling him to wrap it up. All right, okay, you passed the written test with flying colors and got 86 points in the practical, which means you passed. I did it. I actually did it, I thought as I started to smile. But there was more to it. You see, the entrance exam the other day was not graded only on villain points but rescue points, and they're given out by a panel of judges. It's the other basic abilities we at UA look at. Izuku Midoriya, you got 60 rescue points, making 146 points. This is your Hero Academia, he said as he got closer to the screen. Yes, sir. I yelled with tears in my eyes. School Day 1, Deku's POV, still brought to you by Bakugo and Kirishima yelling about who is the best hero, All Might or Crimson Riot. Ever since we found out Kaken and I got into UA, we have been training non-stop and thinking of ways to scare the other students. Only one day after I got my note, All Might had Kaken and me meet up with him, and I'm going to say this once, I am never going to look at him the same. Apparently, Bakugo went to class early, most likely to see the competition. Oh well, as long as no one is dead when I get there, everything will be fine, I said as I headed to the door to put my shoes on to go to school. Izuku, my mom called to me running over. What is it? I asked, standing up and walking to the door. You're really cool, she smiled and I returned the smile. I'm off, I said as I left. Class 1A. 1A, this place is too big. I said as I ran down the hall looking for Class 1A. There it is. The door's huge. Is it for accessibility? The elite chosen from the huge number at the exam. I hope I'm not in a class with glasses, I said as I slid the door open, listening to the yelling coming from inside. Don't put your feet on the desk, a boy with glasses yelled as Kaken just smirked back. Huh, Kaken groaned. Don't you think that's rude to the UA upperclassmen and the people that made the desk? The boy with glasses said. Nope. What junior high did you go to, you side character? Kaken yelled as I peeked through the door. I attended Summel Private Academy. My name is Tenya Ida, he said with a hand chop. Summel? So you're a DMN elite, huh? Looks like I will have fun crushing you, Kaken yelled, leaning forward to stare into Tenya's eyes. Crushing? That's cruel. Do you truly aim to be a hero? Kaken just scoffed, but then the two of them stopped and looked at me. You're... Tenya said. Oh, hi, I said as the class all looked at me. Good morning. I am from Summel Private Academy. My name is... I heard. I'm Midoriya. Nice to meet you, Ida, I said, desperately wanting to just disappear. Midoriya, You realize there was something more to that practical exam, didn't you? I had no idea. I misjudged you. I hate to admit it, but you are better than me, he said, moving his hands like a robot as I sweat dropped. Sorry, I didn't realize anything. Just then, a sudden burst of joyful aura hit me. Oh, that curly hair. You're the plain-looking one. I turned around only to see the nice girl. You passed just like Present Mike said. Of course, that explosion was amazing, she exclaimed, jumping around excitedly. Oh, thanks, but I only did what any hero would do, I replied, trying to control my hair, which was starting to turn to plasma from the happiness bomb. I wonder if today is just the entrance ceremony and orientation. I wonder what our teacher is like. Aren't you nervous? She asked as I slowly shuffled away, attempting to get my hair under control. Go somewhere else if you want to play at being friends, I heard from behind me. I turned to see what looked like a yellow caterpillar on the ground, with tired eyes and messy black hair. This is the hero course, he said in a weary voice, sounding like he didn't want to be there. He unzipped his yellow cocoon, revealing it to be a sleeping bag, and pulled out a juice bag to drink. Uraraka and Inda started to freak out, while I just stared at the man as he stood up and unzipped the sleeping bag. Okay, it took 8 seconds before you all shut up. That's not going to work. Time is precious. Rational students would understand that. By now, everyone was watching the lazy man stand in the hallway. Hello, I'm Shota Aizawa, your teacher. The moment he introduced himself, my grin grew, and panic spread among the others. I was probably the only one who recognized him just by name. Shota Aizawa, better known as Eraserhead, one of my top 5 favorite heroes. Right, let's get to it. Put these on and head outside, he instructed, pulling a sports outfit from his sleeping bag. What a Quirk assessment test! My class yelled once they finally arrived. But what about orientation? We're going to miss it, the brown-haired girl named Uraraka questioned. If you really want to make it to the big leagues, you can't waste time on pointless ceremonies, I said, looking away from the class. Here at UA, we're not bound by traditions, which means I get to run my class however I see fit. You've been taking standardized tests most of your lives, but you've never had the chance to use your quirks in physical exams before. The country is still trying to pretend we are all created equal by not letting those with the most power excel. It's not rational. One day the Ministry of Education will learn. Midoriya, you managed to get the most points in the entrance exam. What was your longest distance throw with a softball when you were in junior high? He looked at me, then walked over to Bakugo, the second-place student in the exam, and whispered something about his power. Bakugo just shook his head and looked away. The green-haired kid turned to me and said, about 45 meters, maybe? It's been a while, so that's just a guess. What does he mean, guess? He should know how far he can throw a ball, I thought. Right? Try doing it with your quirk, I said, tossing the ball to him as he walked to the circle. Anything goes, just stay in the circle. Go on, you're wasting our time. He sighed and looked at Bakugo. UD or not? He asked, and Bakugo just grinned. Do it, he said, turning to face the field. He pulled his arm back, creating some green mist in his hand, and yelled, Die! The moment the ball left his hand, the green mist surrounded it as it soared across the sky. Before the ball stopped, the mist exploded in a green burst, sending it even further before it finally landed. Ah man, I was going to yell, Die, Deku, Bakugo said, the only one not shocked by what had just happened. All of you need to know your maximum capabilities. It's the most rational way of figuring out your potential as a pro hero, I said, showing Midoriya's score to everyone. Wow, 832.3 meters? Are you kidding me? One student, Kaminari, exclaimed, while the pink-haired girl, Ashido, jumped up, saying, I want to go. That looks like fun. The plain one, Siro added, this is what I'm talking about, using our quirks as much as we want. So this looks fun, huh? You have 3 years here to become a hero. Do you think it's all going to be games and playtime? Idiots. Today, you'll compete in 8 physical tests to see your potential. Whoever comes in last has none and will be expelled immediately. As I said this, most of the class freaked out. Like I said, I get to decide how this class runs, understand? I said, pulling my hair back out of my face and smiling. If that is a problem, you can head home right now. You can't send one of us home. I mean, we just got here. Even if it wasn't the first day, that isn't fair, Uraraka protested. Before I could respond, Midoriya interrupted. Do you think natural disasters are? The power-hungry villains and catastrophic accidents that wipe out entire cities make the world seem unfair. It's a hero's job to combat that unfairness. If you want to be a professional, you have to push yourself to the brink. As he finishes, I take the opportunity to say what I need to. For the next 3 years, UA will throw one hardship after another at you, so go beyond, plus ultra style, and show me it's no mistake you are here. Everyone seems to be getting pumped up except Midoriya, who just walks over to Bakugo and stands there lazily. Now then, we're just wasting time by talking. Let the games begin. The 50-meter race is about to start, brought to you by Tsuyu slapping Mineta with her tongue. Runners on your marks, a robot says at the end of the field as Inda and Azui get ready to race. Ready? It then makes a gun noise and the students are off. 3.04 seconds, the robot announces as Inda crosses the line. Well, he's definitely in his element, but speed won't help him in every task, I comment as the next group gets ready. I will lighten up my clothing, Uraraka says as she prepares to run. In the next group, Aoyama calls out, nice attempt, Monoma, but you're just not showing a lot of sparkle. He shoots a laser from his belt, only for it to stop halfway and be beaten by Ishido. Shooting my beautiful beam for more than a second hurts my tummy, he says, looking at the others. Testing the upper limits of their power helps me assess their room for growth. It becomes clear what they can and can't do, their true potential. Runners on your marks, the robot says as Bakugo and Midoriya get ready to race. Ready? Bang. Sometimes pros have to be created in order to succeed. Burst speed. Bakugo yells as he runs, letting off explosions, but Midoriya is just standing there, only to disappear and reappear at the sound of the robot going off. 3.14 seconds. 4.13 seconds, the robot announces as I look at the end, only to see Midoriya yawning and Bakugo letting smoke come from his hands as he walks over to Midoriya. Our quirks have more uses than anyone else's in this school. Next is the strength test, presented by Ectoplasm having a tea party with himself. Okay, let's see what you can do, I say as I watch Shoji use his 3 arms to reach 540 kilograms, which seems to be the highest. I then look at the others getting reasonable scores. That's when Midoriya tries his strength out, 324 kilograms. How is this kid so strong? He looks like there's nothing to him. Now it's time for the long jump, brought to you by Ishido screaming, pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. Now I get to see how Midoriya ran so fast to the other side of the field. Okay, Midoriya, you're up, I say as he walks up to the long jump test. Okay then, he says with a smile as he approaches the sand and jumps. He flies through the air across the field and calls out, so is there a max distance I can go to, or does it go forever? I just look at him as he floats over to me. No, just get down, you don't get infinity. What is this kid's quirk? Green explosions, super strength, flying, or what? Next is the sidestep, presented by Shigaraki disintegrating his bed in his sleep. Surprisingly, Mineta is actually doing well for once. He's using his quirk to bounce side to side while Midoriya just stands there, sighing and slowly starting to sidestep. At the end of class, brought to you by Kurogiri stealing a bed for the man-child, I say, all right, time to give you your results. I ranked you all from best to worst. You should probably have an idea of where you stand. I will just pull up the whole list, it's not worth going over each individual score. Yaoyorozu, Todoroki, Bakugo, Inda, Midoriya, Mineta. And I was lying, no one's going home. That was just a retinal deception to make sure you gave it your all in the test, I say as I watch most of them freaking out for no reason. I'm surprised you didn't figure that out. I'm sorry, I guess I should have said something, Yaoyorozu says, making the class quiet down and stare at her. Oh, and Midoriya, why weren't you trying in the last 4 tests? You could have gotten better if you did. I ask as the class turns to him and he just lies down. Why waste my time on this test to get a good score so you're safe, then work on something more important? He says as he closes his eyes. In a flash of green light, like earlier with the softball, he disappears only to reappear next to me. If you don't mind, let me go get my homework and go home. I want to get it done. By the way, do you have any extra work? I don't think I'm going to be sleeping tonight, he says as he starts to walk off to the classroom. That's it, we're done for the day. Pick up your work in the classroom and read it over before tomorrow morning, I say as I walk away, only to hear the students yell. I turn around to see Midoriya changed and with his and Bakugo's stuff. Bakugo, hurry up. I want to go. You know the dead don't sleep, so hurry up so I have something to do other than wait all the time, he says as he hands Bakugo his bag. I'm going to go to your place and talk with Mitsuki until you get there. And Aizawa, don't stare. How did he know? Geez, why are you like this? I know you don't sleep so you're bored, but come on, Bakugo yells back as he walks off after Midoriya. In class, there are normal subjects like English that happen in the mornings, and we eat lunch in the main cafeteria where we can buy pretty tasty food at a low price. Then in the afternoon, it's finally time for hero basic training. I am here. As I walked through the door like a normal person, the class erupted into chaos at the sight of All Might entering the room. However, the excitement quickly turned to confusion when a screeching sound came from my chair, sending it flying as I stood up, walked over to the window, opened it, and jumped out. Kaken's POV. I watched as All Might walked into the room. The more I observed him, the more I wanted to scream, "Who does he think he is?" expecting Deku and me to clean a beach for him after revealing that he did nothing to help us when we were trapped by the sludge? Wasn't he supposed to be number one? He's not meant to let the bad guys get away. He's meant to help, not hesitate. Stupid All Might. That's when I saw Deku get out of his seat, walk over to the window, and jump out. Holy cow, is he okay? Did he really just jump? What was he thinking? Where is he? The class and All Might yelled as they rushed to the window. Keep it down. Deku's fine. He can't die, so take your seats. He'll be back in a sec. I stopped as I felt a hand on my shoulder. I turned around to see Midoriya. Okay, I'm good now. I just needed to get some air. All Might, do you want to continue before I actually leave the school grounds? He said, forcing a smile that looked more like a grimace. You are not leaving me alone with him. I shouted, pointing at All Might. Young Bakugo, Midoriya, I said I was sorry. Will you please stop this fight? All Might pleaded. And no, we both yelled as we returned to our seats. I added, apologies in front of everyone on your knees, then maybe we will forgive you. I watched as Deku nodded, and All Might sighed, getting down on his knees. Young Bakugo, young Midoriya, I am truly sorry. I am a failure of a hero. Will you please forgive me? He said. The class stared at All Might, then at Deku and me. It's fine. Get up and teach the class, I said, and he regained his smile and stood up. What just happened? You know each other? Why is All Might apologizing? Everyone exclaimed. Ahem, that's not important. What is important is welcome to heroing here. You'll learn the basics of being a pro hero and what it means to fight in the name of good. Let's get into it. Today's lesson, battle. Fight training, I said, glancing at Deku. Real combat, he replied, smirking as we looked at All Might. But one of the keys to being a hero is looking good. These were designed for you based on your Quirk registration forms and the requests you sent in before school started. Get suited up and then meet me at Training Ground Beta, All Might instructed, pointing to a wall. At his cue, boxes containing our costumes emerged from the wall. Yes, sir, the entire class responded, walking over to get their suits. They say the clothes make the pros, young ladies and gentlemen, and behold, you are the proof. Take this to heart. From now on, you are all heroes in training. Deku's hero costume is at the top. Now that you're ready, it's time for combat training. All Might yells as a robot, which I now know is Ida, raises his hand. Sir, this is the face city from our entrance exam. Does that mean we will be conducting urban battles again? Not quite. We're moving you 2 steps ahead. Most of the villain fights you see on the news take place outside. However, fights with the most dastardly evildoers happen indoors. Think about it: backroom deals, home invasions, secret underground lairs. Truly intelligent criminals stay hidden in the shadows. For this training exercise, you will be split into teams of good guys and bad guys and fight 2-on-2 indoor battles, he explains as Azui, the frog girl, calls out. Isn't this a little advanced? She asks, tilting her head to the side. The best training is what you get out on the battlefield, but remember, you can't just punch a robot this time, you're dealing with actual people now. Sir, will you be the one deciding who wins? Yaoyorozu asks. How much can we hurt the other team? Kaken asks. Do we need to worry about the losers getting expelled like earlier? Uraraka questions. Will you be splitting us up based on chance or competitive skill? Ida asks, raising his hand. Listen up. The situation is this. The villains have hidden a nuclear missile somewhere in their hideout. The heroes must try to foil their plans. To do that, the good guys must either catch the evildoers or recover the weapon. The bad guys need to protect the payload or capture the heroes. Time is limited, and we will choose teams by drawing lots. Ida raises his hand again. Isn't there a better way? He asks. Think about it. Pros often need to team up with heroes from other agencies on the spot, so maybe that's the reason we're seeing that here, I say to Ida. Yes, I see. Life is a random series of events. Excuse my rudeness, he says with a bow. No sweat, let's draw. In the end, I was paired with Uraraka and Kaken. The only other team I find worthy as an enemy is Todoroki and Shoji. I declare that the first teams to fight will be these guys. All Might yells as he pulls 2 balls out of some boxes, one black with a white D on it and one white with a black on it. Team A will be the heroes, Team D will be the villains. Everyone else can head to the monitoring room to watch. Yes, sir, they all say as they start to walk away, leaving Kaken, Ida, Uraraka, All Might, and me. Bad guys, you can go on in and get set up. In 5 minutes, the good guys will be let loose and the battle will start. Yes, sir. As Ida and Bakugo walk in, All Might calls out, Young Bakugo, young Ida, the key to being successful in this challenge is to embody villainy. Think from the perspective of an evildoer. If things go too far, I will step in. Understood? Ida's POV. Even if this is training, it pains me to become a villain. So our job is to protect this. I say as I walk over to the bomb and tap it. It's fake. Good. Uraraka's POV. It's a lot of work to memorize the building's floor plans. It's so big. You know, All Might is just as cool in person as he is on television. I'm glad he's not threatening us with some kind of punishment like Mr. Aizawa. We can relax. What are you doing? I ask as I turn to see Midoriya crouching down, playing with the green mist he creates. Oh, I'm coming up with a plan. Kaken is a really tough opponent, and then there's Ida. It's not going to be easy. I watch as Midoriya stands up and clenches his fist. Oh right, Bakugo. He's the one that's always mad, right? I ask as he looks at me. And he's amazing. He can be a real pain, sure, but his strength, confidence, and ambition, not to mention his quirk, are all so much stronger than others. But that just means I have to keep improving with him. We fight full power today, he says as he puts his mask on. So, it's a fated battle between rivals. Let's win this. I yell. All right, let's begin the indoor combat training. Team A and Team D, your time starts now. All Might yells over the speakers. Deku's POV. As Uraraka and I jump into the building through a window, I start to make plasma cover the floors in a thin sheet so no one sees it. And just like that we're in, Uraraka says. It should take me 15 to 20 minutes to cover the whole building like this, but we don't have the time, so I just have to cover as much as possible. As Uraraka and I walk through the halls, Kaken suddenly jumps out from behind a corner and tries to attack us with an explosive punch. I push Uraraka to the side to dodge Kaken's attack. Are you okay, Uraraka? I ask as I stand up. Yeah, I am, thanks, she replies as we watch the smoke dissipate. Come on, Deku, fight me. Kaken yells as he charges at me. I grab his arm as he goes for a right hook, turning my feet and using Kaken's momentum to throw him over my shoulder and onto his back. I watch as Kaken slowly gets up and turns to face me. Just shut up and defend. I've got more important things to worry about, he yells, putting his hand up to his ear. He must be talking to someone. Kaken then moves his hand behind himself and starts to create explosions. Uraraka, go. I call to her as she starts to run. Good move getting rid of the extra, he yells as I try to wrap his leg in capture tape, but he swings another explosive punch at me, missing. I see Kaken preparing for another leap attack, but before he can reach me, I use the plasma I placed down to my advantage, quickly transforming into plasma and merging with it. Are you trying to hide, Deku? Kaken yells, placing his hands on the ground and using an explosion to disperse some of the plasma. Come on out and fight me. Kaken's POV. Come on out and fight me. I scream as I prepare to explode the first thing I see. Where are you, coward? That's when I see the plasma start to rise, filling the halls and leaving no air to breathe, with green lightning crackling within the mist. Is this what you wanted, Kaken? Let's see how long you last without air. What do I do without air? I can't set off any explosions and I can't breathe. Gert, that darn Deku, I'm going to roast him alive, I think as I start to run toward a window. Come on, Kaken, I thought you wanted to fight. I'm right here, Deku's voice calls from behind. I look back only to see him standing in the mist. What are you going to do? Fight me or get to a window? It's all up to you, he mocks as I grit my teeth and continue to run at the window. As I get closer, I hear Deku chuckle, so I turn around to see only his torso looking human, while the rest is plasma speeding toward me. Shoot, I curse under my breath as I'm only an arm's length from the window when he pushes me down. So close, Kaken, he says as he starts to spin the plasma, creating his usual tornado. It's been 2 minutes. How much longer will you last without air? He asks as I get up, black creeping into the corners of my sight. I was saving this for later, but I have to do it now. I grab my gauntlet, aim for the window, and pull the pin. Deku's POV. But now, without air, you can't make explosions. It's one of the 3 core elements of fire. I yell as the plasma starts to flow out the window with the wind in a steady stream, allowing Kaken to breathe. Simple. These gauntlets aren't just for show, they collect my sweat. Because they weren't full, they had air in them, allowing me to set them off. He smirks as he gets into a fighting position. I'm going to guess that was your big plan. Well, what are you going to do now, Deku? He screams as I turn fully into plasma and then lightning, speeding around him while shooting plasma blasts at him. He continues to evade my attacks, forcing me to back up. You can't beat me now, he screams as he keeps looking around for me. Maybe not as plasma, but we are equal in hand-to-hand combat. I yell as I revert to my normal form, using the plasma to create green fire with green lightning around my hands and feet. I charge at him, jumping to try to land an axe kick, only for him to grab my leg and swing me into a wall. Come on, Deku, I know you better than that, he yells as he approaches me, explosions crackling in his hands. Yeah, I can. I just need to use my UD power, I growl as I get up, using the wall to propel myself forward. I tackle Kaken to the ground and create plasma around my face, making my eyes glow. Your time's up, I declare as I wrap plasma around his hands and grab the capture tape. As I start to wrap it around his neck, he headbutts me, causing me to loosen my grip just long enough for him to escape and throw an explosive punch at my face. Die! Kaken yells as he fires his other gauntlet at me, but I turn into plasma and fly out the window to dodge. Deku, you coward! Get back in here, he yells as my mist starts to rocket back down toward him, taking on a slight purple hue. I'm ready to give him a taste of his own medicine. Phantom Storm! I yell as bits of me split off, creating 20 to 30 balls of plasma that speed down into the building, causing an explosion with each impact. Phantom Storm! I yell as bits of me split up, making 20 to 30 balls of plasma that speed down into the building, causing an explosion every time one of the plasma ball hits the ground. All Might, someone's going to die. You have to stop the fight. It's not safe. Kaminari yells as Kirishima nods in agreement. I want to stop the fight, but knowing young Bakugo and Midoriya, If I stop them now, they will just continue the fight later. So let's just wait for the timer. There are 3 minutes remaining. All Might said as we stared at the computer, waiting for the smoke to clear so we could see. Look there in the corner, Aoyama said, pointing to the computer screen where Midoriya and Bakugo could be seen standing, swaying a bit and covered in burns. If you looked closely, Midoriya was slowly healing, but you could see his joints starting to tighten from the overuse of his quirk. Everyone watched as Bakugo took a step forward. How is he still going? The students whispered as he kept slowly getting closer until he was an arm's length away, lifting his arm up for an explosion. Midoriya then grabbed his arm and lifted his own at the same time. We watched as Midoriya moved Bakugo's hand around his neck, whispering something with a smirk. Bakugo's eyes widened before he backed up and fell onto his butt. Midoriya's hand then started to glow as a thick purple mist began to spiral in his hand before shooting up and destroying all the floors above him. He stumbled over to Bakugo, reaching his hand out with green mist forming in his palm, which turned to electricity, sparking as he fell down due to cramps in his joints. The electric hand fell onto Bakugo, making him scream in pain as he crawled away. This was your big plan from the very beginning, wasn't it? Bakugo said, shaking from the electricity. During the time Midoriya destroyed the building, Uraraka managed to secure the weapon. The hero team wins. All Might yelled over the speakers before sending the robots to take Midoriya and Bakugo to the nurse's office. To the nurse's office. I know, they replied as they passed All Might. Time skip, thanks to Kaminari zapping Todoroki until he made the first noise anyone had ever heard him make, meow. Well, despite the results, the MVP of this exercise is young Ida. All Might announced as he watched the class begin to voice their opinions. Shouldn't it be one of the heroes instead, since they're the winners? Azui questioned. Valid question. Why didn't I choose one of those two? How about a guess? He asked, raising his hand. Sir, I can tell you why, Yayarosa said as she raised her hand. Ida embraced this challenge. He was the only one who truly adapted to his assigned role. Bakugo's judgment was clouded by a personal grudge against Midoriya, as you pointed out earlier. Launching a large-scale attack indoors was a foolish move. It could have been a disaster. Similarly, Midoriya's plan was poorly thought out considering the amount of damage he caused, rendering himself helpless, not smart. As for Uraraka, she let her guard down mid-battle. Her final attack was far too reckless given the stakes. If she had treated the fake weapon as if it were real, she would never have risked using such an improvised move. Ida was fully prepared for his opponent's arrival. He had a strategy and never lost sight of his mission to protect the dummy weapon. Even if he was fooled in the end, technically the hero team won, but they took advantage of the fact that this was training. They didn't respect the spirit of the trial, she concluded with a bow of her head. Yes, well, you overlooked a couple of things. Young Ida could have relaxed a bit during the exercise, but otherwise, you nailed it, he said, giving her a thumbs up. One should always start with the basics and devote themselves wholeheartedly to learning. That's the only way to become a top hero, she said as the class stared at her. Good effort. Time to move on to the next match. Think about everything you saw and discussed as you tackle this training for yourself, All Might said, grabbing 2 new ball. Yes, sir, the class called out. Time skipped to after training, All Might's POV presented by Kirishima yelling, "It's me, Mario." Well done, everyone. No serious injuries apart from Bakugo's. Great teamwork. You all did splendidly considering this was your first training exercise. I told the class now that all battles were over, and we were outside. We teachers are free to hold no-nonsense classes if we choose. Now I'm off to give Midoriya and Bakugo their evaluations. Change out of those costumes and head back to the classroom, I said as I ran off. I barely have enough time for one class. Dimen. I thought as I continued to run until I reached the nurse's office and turned back to normal. Bakugo. Midoriya, what happened? I exclaimed as I walked in and approached the beds where they were lying. Oh, it's just you, All Might, Midoriya said, stiffly scratching the back of his head. Were you trying to kill each other? I yelled as Bakugo stood up and walked over to Midoriya's bed. Tisich, I couldn't kill this demon nerd even if I wanted to, he said as he started to give Midoriya a massage to help him get moving again. It's true I can kill him, but he can't kill me. Remember that I said my quirk is special and that I wasn't going to tell you everything about it? Well, you just got a hint of what one of the secrets is, he said, looking me in the eyes with a smirk. When will you be able to trust me with your secrets? I've known you for just under a year now, I complained as Midoriya sat up with Bakugo's help. When I think it's the right time to tell you, he replied as Bakugo stretched out his arm. Well, I can't make you, but once you're done here, get to class, I said as I exited the room. Oh, Midoriya and Bakugo are back. Kirishima yelled as we entered the room, and within seconds, we were crowded. I don't know what you were doing back there, but that was a wild battle. Kaminari exclaimed. We were all super pumped up after that crazy first round, another student added. I'm Ijiro Kirishima. We were all just discussing battle training. Amina Ishido. You two are real powerhouses. I'm Tsuyu Azui, just call me Tsuyu. And I'm Sato, the others chimed in as I looked around to see Kirishima flirting with Mina while another student scolded a classmate. That's when Mina came over to Deku and me. Deku, are you okay? You seem to faint as your injuries healed during the battle, she asked, worry etched on her face. Oh, Urarkai. I'm okay, but I didn't faint, I just couldn't move. You see, when I overuse my quirk, my joints get stiff and I can't move. He says with a smile, a hint of red on his ears. That afternoon was filled with Aizawa covered in cats. You've gotten better at hand-to-hand combat, but you're still too slow in your normal form, and you overused your quirk. If you want, I can help you with your hand-to-hand skills, I say as I walk home with Deku. That would be nice, thanks. And you did well not falling for my trap and continuing to run to the window, he replies as we walk out of the school gates. Yeah, I did do well. Take that, All Might. I bested your criticism, meaning I'm one step closer to being number one. I yell, and Deku chuckles. Yeah, you've gotten better, but we still have to have our daily training match at the gym. We don't want to lose our spot, he comments as we reach the train station. Yeah, and today you're coming over to my place for dinner, I say as he puts his arm around my neck. And then I have all night to practice and get better than you, he smiles as he removes his arm and boards the train. Nope. We have school tomorrow, so you are sleeping, or at least lying down. Let your muscles relax, it might help you out, I say, ruffling his hair. You like my round face, don't you? I ask, and he turns red, moving his hands around nervously. No. I'm just not used to talking to GG girls, he stutters. Whatever you say, nerd, I reply as I look out the window, and we sit in silence until the train stops at our stop. Come on, let's go, I say, grabbing Deku's arm and dragging him off the bus. You know I can walk without being dragged, Deku protests as I let go. You're just too slow. Now hurry up, we have training to do before dinner, I tell him as we continue walking home to change before heading to the gym. After a bit of silent walking, Deku speaks up. So, what do you think of the class? Anyone you think will be a challenge? Well, from what everyone was saying, the candy cane might be a good fight, but I don't know, I never got to see what he can do, I answer, putting my hands in my pockets. From what I heard, he froze the entire building, rendering the opposite team without a chance of winning, he mumbles as we get closer to his house. Stop mumbling, it's annoying, I complain as he sticks his tongue out. You know I can't stop, it's a habit, he replies as we walk into his house. We're home. We're just going to change, then get going, Mom, he calls out to Inko. Oh, okay, sweetie. Hi, Katsuki. Did you have a good day at school? His mom asks as she walks out to the hall to see us taking off our shoes. Yeah, it was fine, but I lost to Midoriya's team in a 2-on-2 battle, I say, standing up and walking to the room that the Midoriyas gave me since I'm practically Deku's brother. Oh dear. You and Midoriya were in a fight and you lost? I thought you were equal in power, she says as she goes to get something from the kitchen. Oh, we still are. We both couldn't move after the battle. He only won thanks to his partner, I say as I walk out of my room changed. More like my plan and Uraraka's help, Deku adds as he walks out of his room. Yeah, but your plan was to destroy most of the building, I reply as I go to get my shoes. It worked though, didn't it? He asks, tilting his head. Yeah, but still bad plan. Sai, bye Inko. See you later, I call out as I leave the house. Yeah, bye mom. See you tomorrow, Deku calls back, closing the door. Time skip to after gym to dinner at the Bakugo's place. Izuku's POV. Dinner's ready, Izuku, Katsuki. Mitsuki calls out to us from the dining room. Okay Mitsuki, we're on our way. I yell back, then look at Kaken. Race. I ask and he nods. Race. With that, we start running down the stairs and to the dining room as fast as possible, using explosions all the way to the dinner table. I sit at the table, looking at the food in front of me. Looks like I win, Kaken, I say, grabbing my chopsticks. Teach, only since you can practically fly, Kaken replies as he sits down and grabs his chopsticks. Brat, how many times do I have to tell you no, in the house? Mitsuki yells as she and her husband sit down. What did you say, old hag? Kaken yells back. I said don't touch anything in this house. Mitsuki yelled, hitting Kaken over the head. The argument continued for about an hour, only stopping when Kaken declared he was going to bed because we had school the next day. Mitsuki yelled back, good night, and then turned to me with a smile that quickly faded when Kaken stomped over to us. He's sleeping and I'm making sure of that, he said, picking me up over his shoulder and carrying me to my room, dropping me on the bed. Sleep, he commanded as he left the room. It's been a while since I went to sleep. What was it, 7 months ago? I whispered, getting into bed and lying down. Well, good night, I said as I closed my eyes. Time skip. Buzz buzz. I turned my head to the side to see my phone vibrating. Who would be texting me at this time of night? It's like 2 or maybe 3 in the morning. I whispered as I grabbed my phone. From 0408584868. Hi, little Mitama. We're coming for you, Mitama, and don't think you and Kodabasudo Koba can stop it. 7. Bye-bye, little Mitama from FT. How did she? What do I do? They're back. I said, why did? Kaken. I yelled, whispering as I ran into his room, shaking him awake. What the heck is so important that you have to wake me up so early, Deku? He yelled, setting off minor explosions. I shoved my phone into his hands. She is back, Kaken, I whispered just loud enough for him to hear. Don't tell anyone about this, but update me on anything they. Do you think if they have your phone number, they know where we live? We moved so they wouldn't know where you are, but still, he said, screenshotting the text and sending it to himself. I don't think so. There are no records of us moving, and the government is helping us by keeping our location and school a secret. Only the heroes involved and some government officials know. Not even our teachers are aware. Their memories were wiped as well. As long as we get to and from school without anyone seeing us, we should be good, I said, taking my phone back and noticing that Kaken had changed the contact name to FT. Still, they said they are coming for you, so from now on, do not leave my sight, got it? He asked, but it sounded more like a command. I know, but are you sure we can't tell our parents or the government that she is back? No. If we tell them, they will panic and we won't be allowed out of sight. Heroes will follow us all the time, he said, grabbing my shoulders and looking down at me. They will take us away, and we won't be able to become heroes. So please, don't tell them, he whispered. I won't tell them then, I said as I sat up and walked over to the window to look out. Good. Now don't worry about it. I'm going to try to get some more sleep. We can't do much right now. Right night. I could feel his eyes on my back before he looked away. I thought I said to get some sleep tonight earlier. No way. I'm too on edge to sleep now, I replied, turning back to him. Fine, but next time you are. I then stayed in Kaken's room all night. Why did I have to get that text at night, especially on a night I was trying to sleep? I sighed. Deku's POV. Hey, how are All Might's classes? A news reporter asked as I tried to get past the group of reporters at the school gate. Excuse me, I need to get to class, I said as I pushed past them. Uraraka's POV. Will you tell us about what the symbol of peace is like as a teacher? The news lady asked me. What he's like. He's very muscular. I replied with a smile. Inda's POV. What do you think of All Might as a teacher? The news lady from BNHA asked me. He made me recognize anew that I attend an educational institute that is the best of the best. Of course, his dignity and character go without saying, but we students are constantly able to see his humorous side. It is a unique opportunity to learn about being a top hero directly from one. All the news reporters were thinking, why did I ask this kid? Please shut up. Bakugo's POV. Excuse me. Can you tell me about All Might? Oh, you're the one who was caught by the sludge villain but was saved by the green-haired kid from earlier. At the mention of that sludge villain, I started to growl. Why not say that Deku and I also beat the crap out of that sludge villain instead of, you're the kid that was captured and saved? Stop it. You're just vultures. I yell back. Aizawa's POV. About All Might. Wow, you're scruffy. What's your deal? This is why I don't like publicity. He's not on duty today. You are disturbing the classes. Please leave, I said and then walked away through the gate. I would like to speak directly with All Might, the news lady from before said as the others started to talk. I feel like I've seen him before. Don't you think you're too scruffy? I thought, I can't believe All Might was able to work as a hero with all this, as I continued to walk. News lady POV. Hey, just a little time is fine. Just let me see All Might. I started to walk up to the gate. Ah, idiot, another said from behind me. That's when the gate started to close. What the? I screamed as I fell back. It's the UA barrier. That's what we call it, another man said. What the heck is that? I asked in shock. If someone tries to get in without a student ID or pass to enter, the security system kicks in. Apparently, there are sensors all over the school, the man explained as I got up. What the heck? They think they're so high and mighty. They could at least give a brief comment, I said as I turned away. Seriously, we've been here for 2 days, and they still won't say anything, the man added. No one's POV. The news that All Might had been hired as a teacher at UA surprised the nation, and the media descended on the school, causing a commotion for days. Everyone knew about it. Aizawa's POV. Good work on yesterday's combat training. I saw the video and results. Bakugo, you're talented, so don't act like a kid. He only made a mad frown. I know, he said looking away. And Midoriya, you're the same. Stop acting childish, both of you. I don't like saying the same thing over and over. As long as you fix the destruction issue, there's a lot you will be able to do. Feel a sense of urgency, Midoriya, Bakugo. I watched as he nodded and looked out the window. Now let's get down to homeroom business. Sorry about the late notice, but today I'll have you. I saw the kids' faces start to pale. What do they think I'm going to do, another special test? Decide on a class representative. The class then all sighed and started yelling things like, I want to be class rep. Me. I want to do it too. It's a job made for me. I'll be the leader. Let me do it. Me. That was until my ears savored Ida standing up and yelling, Silence, please. It is a job with the serious responsibility of leading others. It is not a job for just anyone who wants to do it. It is a calling that requires the trust of those around you. If we want to use democracy to decide on a true leader, then we should hold an election to choose one. That's when the class yelled, Your hand is raised the highest. That's when Kaminari voiced his opinion, Why did you suggest that? Then Azui pointed out, We haven't even known each other for that long, so how can we have trust or anything? Then Kirishima said, If that's the case, and everyone votes for themselves. That's when Inda chopped the air. Don't you think that is precisely why whoever receives multiple votes here can be truly considered the most suitable person? What do you think, Mr. Aizawa? He asked me as I zipped myself up in my sleeping bag. I don't care, as long as you decide before homeroom is over. I then fell down to take a nap. Thank you very much. Ida said, like a robot as usual. Time skipped to after the votes. Bakugo's POV. Brought to you by Kaken and stupid Kaminari playing chess and losing. Izuka Midoriya, 3. Momo Yaoyorozu 2. Deku, you don't need to do this if you don't want to. You don't want a repeat of grade school, I said as I watched him shake. What happened in grade school? Soy sauce asked, staring at me. You don't want to know, I replied as I sat down and watched Aizawa get up. Then, the class rep is Midoriya, and the deputy class rep will be Yaoyorozu. Deku then looked at me for help, but I just looked away. Seriously? He said as he shook even more. How vexing. Yaoyorozu said as others started to speak their minds on the situation. That might not be too bad. After all said and done, Midoriya can be pretty fired up, anyway. And Yaoyorozu was cool when we were going over the battle results. Time skip brought to you by Ida chasing cars down the street as a training method and winning the race. I know you've all done it at one point. There are lots of people today too. That's because everyone in the hero course, support course, and management course meets in the same place, Ida stated as Uraraka began to eat. The rice is so delicious, she exclaimed, her face lighting up. Even though I've been chosen as class representative, I don't know if I'm qualified for it, I said to Ida and Uraraka. You are, Uraraka reassured me. It'll be fine. Your courage and judgment at critical moments make you worth following. That's why I voted for you, Ida added as he resumed eating. It was you, I said in shock. But didn't you want to be class representative too, Ida? I mean, you've got glasses and everything. Uraraka pointed out. Wanting to do it and being suitable for it are different issues. I merely did what I judged to be correct, he replied, setting his drink down. Merely? Uraraka and I said simultaneously. You don't usually use that word. I noted as Ida turned to look at us. Oh, that's... Uraraka interrupted. I've been thinking. Are you a rich boy, Ida? For a split second, I thought I saw panic on Ida's face. Rich? I tried to change how I talk because I didn't want to be called that. Yes, my family has been heroes for generations. I'm the second son. Do you know the turbo hero, Ingenium? He is my elder brother. He is a likable person who honors the rules and leads people. I set my sights on being a hero because I want to be like my brother. However, I think it is still too soon for me to lead others. Unlike me, Midoriya realized the point of the practical portion of the entrance exam, so he seems more suitable for the job. With that he smiled. This might be the first time I've seen you smile, Ida, Uraraka chimed in. What really? I smile. Ida responded. Ingenium is to Ida what Kaken is to me, but I should tell him, I thought. About the entrance exam. Suddenly, the alarm rang, and I reached out and tapped my hand, making me float. A place in everyone's line of sight. I pulled up my pants to avoid damaging them and yelled, Engine boost! Using my engines, I flew in circles to the door, slamming side first into the wall. Be concise, clear, and bold. I announced. Everyone, everything's fine. It's just the media. There is nothing to panic about. Everything's fine. This is you, let us act in a way befitting of the best. With that, I watched as everyone calmed down and began to talk. Time skipped to Deku's POV. Brought to you by Ida running on water only to trip and belly flop. Come on, class rep, start, Yaoyorozu said, standing next to me as my hand twitched from being in front of so many people just to talk. And now, let us decide on the other class officers. But first, can I say something? I think Tenya Ida should be the class rep after all. He was able to get everyone's attention in such a cool way. I think it would be best for Ida to do it, I said, looking up at everyone. I'm good with that too. Midoriya saying it, and it's true that Ida was a big help at the cafeteria today, Kirishima added. Yeah, and he kind of looked like the person on the emergency exit sign, didn't he? Kaminari chimed in. You're wasting time. I don't care what you do, just hurry up and do it, Aizawa said out of nowhere. If the class rep has nominated me, then it cannot be helped. From this day forth, I, Tenya Ida, promise to do my best to carry out the duties of class representative, he declared, standing up and placing one arm in front of his chest. We're counting on you, emergency exit. Kirishima called out with a thumbs up. What about me? Yaoyorozu said next to me, sweat dropping. Time skipped to Nizu's POV. Presented by Todoroki making an ice beard and going up to Endeavor, saying, I'm just like you. How were the only ordinary members of the press able to do something like this? Someone investigate this. Did someone evil slip in, or was it intended to be a declaration of war? I said, standing alongside Midnight, 13 and Recovery Girl, looking at the completely destroyed gate. Time skip to Ajui's POV. Given to you by our local cinnamon roll of plasma dressed as a bunny. For today's basic hero training, it turned into a class with 3 instructors, All Might, me and one more person. That's when Zero jumped up. Excuse me, what will we be doing? He asked as Aizawa held out a card that read, Rescue. Disasters, shipwrecks, and everything in between. It's rescue training. At that, the class sighed. Rescue? Looks like it'll be a lot of work this time too. Right. Idiot, this is the duty of a hero. My arms are ready to rumble. No one can beat me in water, Kirishima, Kaminari, and I said, Hey, I'm not done. You can decide if you want to wear your costume or not this time because there are probably costumes that limit your abilities too. The training will take place off campus, so we're taking a bus. That's all, get ready. Kaken's POV. On our way to the changing room, I walked next to Deku. Deku, do you really think it was just the press? It might have been her? I whispered. No, this is not something she would do, but it also isn't what the press would do. It's someone else, and that's what's scaring me. We don't know what they want, he said, his voice stern to show he was serious. We will be fine as long as they're not like her. Yeah, he replied, looking worried. Yo, Bakugo Midoriya, hurry up. Kirishima called. Oh, sorry, we're on our way, Deku called back, pulling me forward. Time skip again to Ida's POV. Brought to you by Kaken running away from a rat. Class 1A, gather round. Form 2 lines by your student numbers in order to make boarding the bus go smoothly. I yelled. With that, we all boarded the bus, and as it started to move, I said, Shoot, I didn't think it would be this type of bus. All that for nothing, Mina said, sitting next to me. Deku's POV. I generally say what's on my mind, Midoriya, Ajui said, not even looking at me. Oh, what is it, Ajui? I asked. Call me Q, she replied, turning to me. Your quirk is weird. I just stared at her wide-eyed before responding, Really? How? I ask as Kirishima chimes in. It's kind of true, Midoriya. I mean, you turn into green smoke, create lightning and fire, you're super strong, fast, and you heal really quickly. But that quirk you've got is awesome. You can do a lot of cool stuff with it. Not like my hardening. I'm good in a fight, but it's really boring. He hardens his upper arm to show it off. I think that's pretty neat, though. Your quirk is more than enough if you want to go pro, I say before Aoyama and Ishido join in. Pro. But don't forget that heroes also have to worry about popular appeal. My naval laser is both strong and cool, perfect for a pro, Aoyama says with a sparkle in his eyes. But it's not that great if it gives you a stomachache, sweetie, Ishido retorts, and the sparkle fades. You want to talk strong and cool? That would be Todoroki, Bakugo, and Midoriya, Kirishima says, catching Bakugo's attention. But Bakugo's so unhinged. He'd never be popular, Ajui replies. What did you say, frog face? Bakugo snaps back. See? Ajui points at him. We haven't known each other that long, so it's amazing everyone already knows his personality is terrible. Kaminari adds, pointing to the roof. What's with that vocabulary, you BSRD? I'll kill you. Bakugo yells back. Kaken getting bullied. Who'd have thought? Guess that's UA for you. We're here, look sharp now. Aizawa says as the bus comes to a stop. Yes, sir. Everyone, I have been waiting for you. A man in a space suit and bright yellow shoes says as the class gasps. It's the space hero, 13. The gentlemanly hero who has rescued tons of people from disasters. I exclaim, excited to see 13 again. It's been a while, Midoriya, but let's go inside without any more delay, 13 says as the class looks at me and says, we look forward to working with you, before turning around. Wow, it looks like Universal Studios Japan. I say as 13 continues. There's the flood zone, landslide zone, conflagration zone. Every disaster and accident you can imagine. I built this facility myself, I call it the Unforeseen Simulation Joint. Or YE for short, he explains, pointing as Aizawa walks up to him and asks, 13, where's All Might? He was supposed to meet us here. 13 walks up to him. About that, it looks like he did too much hero work on his way here and ran out of time, so he's resting in the lounge, he says, holding up 3 fingers. That's the height of irrationality. It can't be helped. Shall we begin? He says, leaning against a wall. Let's see. Before we begin, let me say one thing. Or 2 or 3. Or 4. 5, 6, 7. Everyone, I am sure you are aware of my quirk, black hole. I can SCK up anything and turn it to dust. I interject. You've been able to use that quirk to save people from all kinds of disasters, like in grade school, whispering the last part. Yes, but it is a power that can easily kill. Some of you also have quirks like that, right? He says, sending a look at Kaken and me. In a superhuman society, personal quirks have been certified and stringently regulated, so that doesn't seem to be a problem at first glance. However, please do not forget that there are many quirks that can easily kill with one wrong step. With Aizawa's physical fitness test, you found out about the possibility of your own hidden power, and with All Might's person-to-person combat training, I think you experienced the danger of using these powers against others. The class is a fresh start. You shall learn how to use your quirks to save people's lives. You do not have powers so you can harm others. I hope you leave here with the understanding that you have powers in order to help others. That is all. Thank you all for listening, he concludes with a bow. That was wonderful. Bravo. Bravo. My class starts to yell and cheer. All right then, first, Aizawa begins, only to be cut off as the lights flicker and electricity zaps through them. The water fountain starts to break down as a purple swirling mist appears right in front of it, bursting out before a hand reaches through, pulling some of the mist aside so we can see a face partially covered by a hand, but we can still see the crimson red eye and pale blue hair. They're the ones who destroyed the gate. They have to be. So what do they want? Gather together and don't move. 13. Protect the students. Aizawa yells as he prepares to fight. What's that? Is this like the entrance exam where the lessons already started? Kirishima asks as I take a step forward, only to have Aizawa yell at me, don't move. That's when he puts on his goggles. Those are villains. With that, my class starts to panic visibly. And coincidentally, during the time we were supposed to be practicing saving lives, they showed up in front of us. Shigaraki's POV. The only real heroes I see are 13 and Eraserhead. It's perplexing. According to the schedule we retrieved from Yue, All Might should be here as well, Kurojiri says as he fully appears. So you scumbags used the press as cover and snuck onto campus, yells a man in all black with yellow goggles and a white scarf. Where is he? After going through the trouble of bringing so many friends who are eager to meet him, they want All Might, the great symbol of peace. I can't believe he's not here. Maybe if I kill a few kids he'll come out to play. Midoriya's POV. That day we learned what the pro-heroes are really up against, the darkness they face to keep us safe. We looked at these villains and pure evil stared back. So they're not after me but All Might. What real villains? No way, how can so many of them get into a UA facility this secure? Kirishima asks as we watch the villains approaching slowly. Yeah, 13, why aren't the alarms going off? Yaoyorozu asks the pro-hero. Good question, I'm not sure, he replies as the local Iceman speaks up. Is the entire campus under attack? Or are they our only target? If the alarm sensors aren't being triggered, then one of these villains must have a quirk that's masking their presence here. They carefully chose this isolated facility as an entry point at a time when a class was being taught. They're fools for trespassing here, but they've thought this out. Whatever their plan, they must have a concrete objective in mind. But what is it? He says as he stares at the man in the 13, get them out of here and alert the main campus. If they have the ability to block our sensors, then they might be jamming our regular communication too. Kaminari, try using your quirk to contact the school. Aizawa says as Kaminari replies with a simple "Sir," before I interrupt. What are you going to do? You can't fight them all. With so many, even if you can erase their quirks. A frontal battle is. But now it is Aizawa's turn to cut me off. You can't be a hero with just one trick. I'm leaving it to you, 13. And with that he jumped down the steps into the mass of villains. On his way down, we could hear some of the villains say, "Shooting squad, let's go." Didn't our intel say it would just be 13 and All Might? Who's that? I don't know. But if he thinks he can come at us from the front by himself, then he's a huge idiot. With that, Aizawa's hair started to float, and his eyes turned a bone-chilling red. That's when the villains tried to use their quirks. My quirk. The bullets won't come out. They yelled as Aizawa wrapped them in his scarf or capture gear, slamming their heads together and knocking them out. Idiot, that's Eraserhead. He can erase quirks just by looking at you. Eraser, are you going to erase the quirks of heteromorphic-type villains like us too? A four-armed villain yelled as he ran at Aizawa, jumping and getting ready to knock him out. No, I can't, but the skills of guys like you are statistically more likely to manifest in close combat. So I've taken measures against that. He says, punching the four-armed guy into the air, then wrapping his scarf around his leg and slamming his body down into other villains. Hurry up and take shelter. Ida says as we start to run back to the doors, only to have a man made of purple mist appear right in front of us. I won't let you. Greetings, we are the League of Villains. It may be presumptuous of us, but we have invited ourselves into the home of the heroes, UA High School, in order to have All Might, the symbol of peace, take his last breath. This is the part 1M to play. As he was talking, 13 went to use his black hole quirk on the villain, only to have Bakugo and Kirishima jump at the Mist Man. Did you consider that you'd get beaten by us before you did it? Kirishima says as the smoke from Bakugo's attack cleared. Oh dear, that was a close one. That's right. Even if you are students, you are excellent golden eggs. He says, reforming. No. Move away, you two. 13 yelled at them. My job is to scatter you all and torture you to death, he says as the purple mist surrounds us all. Let's see who wins, mist or plasma. I yell for whoever is left as I turn to plasma in a burst, making as much as possible, and whenever it touches the mist, creates a plasma blast, pushing it back. Where is everyone? Can we confirm their locations? Ida asked as he looked at the small group. They've been scattered, but they're all in the facility. Shoji says as he uses his arms to see where everybody is. I'm going to hold him back for as long as I can, so make a plan. I can only make so much plasma, so be quick. I yell as the mist tries to push back, making it a game of tug of war, just you're pushing instead of pulling. Class rep. Yes. I entrust this duty to you. Run to school and tell them about what is happening here. The alarms are not sounding and our phones don't have signal. 13 says as he watches the mist and plasma fight for control. The class president can't very well abandon his class. Ida yelled back. He said go. Out the emergency exit. Sato yelled as he pushed Ida forward. There are alarms on the outside, which means that these guys must only be causing trouble in here. Sato continues. So if you make it out, they can't follow you. Zero yells. Please use your quirk to save us all. 13 yells back. Just like in the cafeteria, do it. Uraraka and Ishido say back. And with that, Ida ran past the Mist Man and me, only to have some of the Mist Man's tendrils reach out and try to grab Ida. It would hardly be to our benefit if you called your teachers. He says, opening a portal, only to have Shoji grab the portal. Go, quickly, he yelled, letting Ida get out along with letting the Mist Man portal next to the handyman. Bakugo's POV, collapse zone. That's all of them, Kirishima says as he wipes the sweat from his face. Great. Now let's hurry and help the others. If we're here, I bet everyone else is also in the USJ. I'm worried about the guys that don't really have a way to attack. 13 Sensei's probably got his hands full since we rushed ahead like that. None of this would have happened if we'd let him deal with that Mist Man. As men, we gotta take responsibility. He says as he turns to me. If that's what you want, then go alone. I'm gonna beat that warp gate guy to a pulp. I'll back. Still pulling that immature crap at a time like this? Besides, normal attacks don't work on him. Kirishima yells back. Shut up. He's how these guys are getting around. Bring him down, and they'll have nowhere to run. And it's not like I don't have a way to beat him. I scream as a villain with a knife jumps out from behind me. Yes. Keep chatting. Let your guard down, he yells as I grab his head and slam him into the ground with an explosion. If all they're sending are these idiots, we should be fine. I say, looking down at the villain. If this is all, then Deku should be fine, and I didn't see her, so we are safe. You sure are calm all of a sudden, he says, probably picturing me yelling. I'm always calm, you med broomhead. I yell, flipping him off. Ah, there it is. He says, snapping his fingers. I'm outta here. Hold up. You gotta trust your pals. Be a man, Bakugo. You've convinced me. All Might's POV. Bam. Fear not, for I am here. I yell as I burst into the U, only to hear all the students cry out, All Might. Last time, Todoroki freezes the ground and the Nomu as Kirishima tries to hit the handman. So I heard you people are here to kill All Might. But scum like you could never kill the symbol of peace, Todoroki says as Kaken looks at me. Say it. With a grin, I turn to Plasma. Who will win, villains or heroes? Kaken's POV. I watch as All Might takes this chance to jump away from the bird creature. You've pinned down our way out. Well, this is a problem, the hand freak says, looking at me. You slipped up, you BS'd. And it's just like I thought. The parts you can turn into that foggy warp gate are limited. And you're using that misty stuff to hide your real body, right? Am I right? If your whole body was mist and physical attacks didn't work, you'd never say, that was a close one. Don't move. If I decide you're doing anything fishy, I'll blow you straight to Kingdom Come. I say, pressing my hands down on the neck brace even more. Oh, that doesn't sound very hero-like, dude. Kirishima says from behind me. Not only have you beaten our level, but you're at full health. Today's kids really are something. Our League of Villains should be ashamed. Nomu, take out the explosive brat. We need our escape route back. With that, the Nomu stands up straight, causing the frozen half of its body to fall apart. Its body's falling apart, but it's still moving. I yell as All Might does the protective arm move, the one where a parent puts an arm in front of you to keep you from moving. Get back, everyone. What the? I thought his quirk was shock absorption, All Might says as we watch the Nomu regrow its body. I don't remember saying that's all he can do. This is hyper-regeneration. Nomu is a super-powered living sandbag designed to withstand everything you've got. The hand dude tells us as we watch the Nomu run at me, only for All Might to jump in front, taking a hit for me. You dodged that. Wow. Kirishima yells. I didn't. Shut up. I yell, hating to be praised for something I didn't do. Anything to save a comrade, right? You know what, All Might? That sees me off. Heroes and villains both thrive on violence, but we're still categorized. You're good. You're evil. That's how it is. Symbol of peace. In the end, you're just a tool for violence, made to keep us down. And violence only breeds more violence, the handman says to All Might as he coughs after being thrown against a wall by a punch. What a load of nonsense. Idealistic criminals have a different sort of fire in their eyes. But you're just enjoying yourself, you big liar, All Might yells back. You got me. You saw right through, the handman replies with his twisted, raspy voice. It's 3-on-5. These are some brutal dudes, but with us all supporting All Might, we can beat them back. Todoroki and Kirishima say. No. Get out of here. But none of us leave. Things wouldn't have gone so well if I hadn't just stepped in, Todoroki says as I spread plasma around the fight grounds in a ring to prevent the villains from escaping. Right you are, Todoroki. So thanks for that. But fear not. Sit back and watch a pro get serious, he yells, pulling his arm back. Nomu, Kurogiri, take him. I'll handle the kids, the handman yells as he runs at us. Let's clear the game and go home. That was all Might needed to hear before locking his fist right in between the handman and us to keep us safe. He's got shock absorption. You already saw it yourself, the handman says as he watches the fight. That's right. It's absorption, not nullification, so he must have a limit. Built to counter me, you say? Made to withstand everything I've got. Then I'll go beyond that. A hero's always ready to smash through trouble. Tell me, villain, do you know the meaning of plus ultra? With one final punch, All Might sent the gnome straight through the roof of the building. Like straight out of the comics. Kirishima says in awe. He just smashed his way past the absorption. The ultimate bruiser. And against that power, the regeneration wasn't able to keep up with that rush of attacks. Kaken whispers. Yep, I'm slowing down. In my heyday, 5 of those punches would have been enough. But that was over 300 hits just now. Well, villain, how about we finish this, he says as he walks out of the dust. You cheated, yells the handman, scratching his neck. Weakened, not that I can see. We're completely outmatched. How dare you do that to my Nomo? You cheated. He's not weak at all. Lied to me? He continues to ramble as the scratching gets worse. Well, coming to get me? What happened to clearing the game? If you can take me, then bring it on, he yells at the handman. Right, we're not that level yet, the Iceman says as Midoriya moves more plasma around All Might to hide the steam. Well, what's keeping you? He yells, trying to scare the villains into surrendering. If only we still had Nomo. If only. He was taking those hits so we. The handman yells and starts to scratch with both hands. Tomura Shigaraki, calm yourself. It's apparent that Noma did manage to deal some real damage. The kids are holding back for some reason. And reinforcements from the school are bound to show up in a few minutes. But if the 2 of us double-team him, we still have a chance. The Mist Man tells the pale blue-haired villain. Yes. Right, we can do this. The final boss is standing right there. He yells with a grin under the hand. All Might will take care of the big bads. Let's go see if we can help the others, Kirishima says as he and Todoroki start to walk away. Midoriya, Bakugo? Todoroki asks. This is revenge for Nomu, he says as Midoriya jumps in as a pure ball of green plasma with purple swirls, aiming for the handman and the portal. And Midoriya, yells Kirishima. Get away from All Might, he yells as he goes to blow them up, only to see the handman's hand reach out for him, just for it to be shot. They're here. All Might says as he looks to see the school staff at the entrance. Sorry, everyone, we're a little late. We brought everyone we could, the principal says, with nearly all of UA behind him. Ida! Uraraka yelled. President of Class 1A, Tenya Ida. Reporting for duty. Ida responded enthusiastically. They're here. Game over. Guess we have to try another time, Kurogyri. Snipe said as he fired his guns, hitting Handy in the legs and one hand. The only troublemakers we can wrangle from this distance are. Snipe continued as Kurogyri began to get SCD up. It's me! 13 exclaimed, using a black hole to absorb the mist. I may have failed here, symbol of peace. But next time we meet, you're done for, All Might, Handy declared as he vanished into the mist. Cementas's POV. What in tarnation? Snipe said, readjusting his hat. They just fled? After such a dramatic invasion. Midnight. They caught us completely off guard. But let's focus on the students' well-being for now, the principal said as Vlad set him down. Oh, and, he added, building a wall between All Might and the students, we need to make sure you students are safe, so head over to the main gate. I'll deal with the wounded. Kirishima ran off. Thanks. That was close, Cementas, All Might said as he sat down. I'm a fan of yours, you know. So let's get you to the nurse's office without revealing this side of you. But honestly, you've got to stop overdoing it, he said with a smile. I'd be dead if I hadn't overdone it. They were just that strong. Time skip. Nizu's POV. We'll need to completely revamp our security systems, I said as Midnight continued to talk. Teleportation quirks are rare enough. It's a shame one had to turn villain. Detective Tsukachi. I have a report. We've apprehended what seems to be a villain about 400 meters from here. A police officer rushed in. In what condition? Tsukachi questioned. He seems unharmed and didn't resist arrest. Oddly enough, he appears to be mute, the officer replied before Tsukachi turned to me. Principal, I'd like to go over the school with a fine-toothed comb if you don't mind, he asked, holding his hat down. Of course. I'm sure some won't be happy, but the police certainly have jurisdiction. Investigation is your field of expertise. Do what you feel is necessary, I said with a big smile. Oh, and we found a note stuck to the ground with mercury, but it makes no sense. It said, "Nice school, little Mitama, Koba," that was it. Now, it doesn't sound weird, but there are no students or villains as far as we know with either of those names, he said, pulling out a picture of it to show me. I see. Mind if I keep this? And good luck figuring out what this means, I said, examining the picture. Keep it, I've got more. Midoriya's POV. Classes were cancelled the next day, but we couldn't rest easy. Everyone, morning homeroom's about to begin. To your seats. Ida yelled at the front of the class, only to have them respond, "We're sitting, you're the only one up." In the blink of an eye, Ida was in his seat, and a tired Aizawa walked in the door. Morning. Aizawa's POV. You're back already, Aizawa-sensei? The class exclaimed as I walked in. Glad to see you doing well, sensei. Ida shouted, raising his hand as I wobbled to the desk. If you can call that doing well. Uraraka remarked. My welfare isn't important because your fight is far from over, I said, looking over my class. Our fight? Don't tell me. More villains? Some of the class asked. The UA Sports Festival is fast approaching. The class gasped, exclaiming, That's so totally ordinary. Midoriya and Bakugo seemed to calm down. A sports festival? That's totally normal. Come on. We just had that villain attack. Are you sure about this? The class yelled. It's necessary to demonstrate that UA's crisis management protocols are sound. Compared to past years, there will be 5 times the police present. Anyhow, our sports festival is the greatest opportunity you'll get. It's not an event that can be cancelled over a few villains, I explained as Mineta and Midoriya debated why we couldn't stop the festival. Our sports festival is one of Japan's biggest events. The Olympics were once the world's sports festival. The whole country would be whipped into a frenzy over them. But as you know, that tradition has shrunk in scale to a shell of its former self. And as far as Japan's concerned, what's taken the place of the Olympics is the UA Sports Festival. I told the class, even though they were supposed to already know this. The nation's top heroes will all be watching, right? They will be there as scouts. Yaoyorozu asked. They'll be looking to hire us as sidekicks after we graduate. That's how it's done, Kaminari explained to Jiro. And a lot of those sidekicks never manage to go solo. They'll be sidekicks forever. That will be you, Kaminari, you dunce, she retorted. Naturally, you'll gain valuable experience and popularity if you're picked up by a big-name hero. But your time is limited. Show the pros what you're made of here, and you'll create futures for yourselves. This happens once a year. So you've got 3 chances. If you're hoping to become a hero, this is an event you can't miss. The principal wanted me to ask you about a note that was found. Normally, we wouldn't ask, but we don't know what it means. It seems to be written in a way that whoever found it would understand. The note said, Nice school, little Mitama. Koba FT. If any of you know anything, please come forward, it will help us a lot. I looked at the class for any reactions. Most seemed to react as anyone would, but Midoriya and Bakugo caught my eye with a sudden look of fear before they hid it and exchanged glances. They know something, I thought as I looked away from them. Midoriya's POV. The note said, Nice school, little Mitama. Koba. After that, I seemed to block out anything else Aizawa said as I turned to Kaken, and he looked at me. Midoriya, Bakugo, do you think you could come with me after class? Aizawa asked, and I froze, turning around to see him staring at us with an eyebrow raised. Sure thing, I replied as Kaken clicked his tongue. I glared at him until he said, Fine. I then turned back to Aizawa, thinking, I don't know how, but I think he knows what's going on. Ding dong ding. Conference room. All Might's POV. The one called Shigaraki. His quirk allows him to disintegrate anything he touches. We've gone through the list of men in their 20s and 30s in the quirk registry with no luck. There's nothing on the Warp Gate user, Kurogiri, either. Neither is registered, and both are using aliases. Their quirks aren't on record, making them part of the underworld. We still don't know what to make of the note. No one at your school has the names Mitama or Koba, and we have no villain with the alias F.T. Detective Tsukachi said to the group, which included All Might, Snipe, Midnight, Vlad King, and Nizu. So you're saying we know nothing? I reckon we ought to learn fast, or the leader of those villains, Shigaraki, will heal and be back again. That note isn't really a friendly greeting, Snipe added. Leader, huh? I mumbled, but Nizu seemed to hear it. What is it, All Might? It's just that nothing about this feels normal. It was an especially daring attack, not just meticulous planning. He started going on about some ridiculous ideology. Although he didn't say anything about his own quirk, he was bragging about that Nomu's quirk. And when things didn't go his way, he threw a tantrum. I guess the talk about quirks was meant to provoke me. Even so, it seems especially foolish in a battle against heroes to reveal one's quirks and waste the element of surprise, Nizu said next to me. Spouting a plausible yet deluded ideology, bragging about the toy he brought along, and thinking everything would go his way. If we think about how the attack was carried out, it seems that this Shigaraki character couldn't quite hide his childish nature. He does whatever he wants, he's a man-child. A kid with too much power, you're saying? Vlad yelled. Maybe he never received general quirk counseling in elementary school. Midnight added. So, what does that matter anyway? Vlad asked. We apprehended 72 villains at the USJ the other day. They were all just back alley thugs, but the question is why so many of them would agree to follow this man-child. Nowadays, our society is saturated with heroes. Many small-time villains like them who get kicked around are drawn to that sort of pure, unaffected evil. Thanks to you heroes, we can focus on our investigation. We'll expand our search and devote our efforts to apprehending the perpetrators and finding the note writer, Detective Tsukachi concluded. A man-child? In one way, he's a lot like our students. He has the potential to grow, if only he had a proper mentor to follow. It's difficult to think about these things, Nizu added. Knock knock. It's me. I brought 2 students with me, I heard Aizawa say, so I turned into my buff form. Come in, Nizu called back. We watched as Aizawa walked in, followed by Midoriya and Bakugo. Oh, it's you too, I said as I deflated. All Might, what the heck, you're not? I cut Vlad off. They already know. I yelled. And they know something about the note, don't you? Aizawa said, glaring at them. So who cares if we do? Bakugo yelled back. Young man, we do care, and please don't use such language, Nizu said. Young Bakugo, young Midoriya, could you tell us what you know? I asked as Midoriya turned to me and gave a big fake smile. I wish I could, but it's a secret you don't want to know, he began in a childish voice, only to end with a dark, unsettling tone as he slowly opened his eyes. And why don't we want to know? Because you just don't want to know about her. Only Deku, I, and the GSS, Government Secret 6, are supposed to know, he said, grabbing Midoriya and shoving him behind himself protectively. The GSS is only involved if it is something really dangerous, and you're saying you and they are the only ones who know? For your safety and ours, please tell us, Tsukachi urged. It's not just us and them, there are 4 heroes who know, Midoriya said, poking his head out from behind Bakugo. Oh, and who would they be? Midnight asked. There's 13, Edge Shot, Mandalay, and Best Genist, Midoriya replied, causing Bakugo to grow a tick mark. We're leaving. Come on, shitty Deku, he yelled as he dragged Midoriya out, slamming the door. But not before Midoriya said, looks like the right time, pulling a smug face. If this is a GSS thing, we can't just ask one of the heroes that know. We need to ask the GSS, but they are completely secretive, and not even I can get in contact with them, Tsukachi stated. I can help. I'm already involved in 2 of the 4 cases they are working on. I can ask them. I say as I grab my phone from my pocket and dial the number. Ring 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 ring. What's the code? The person asks. Plasma, solid, liquid and gas, I whisper. And who are you? They question. It's me, All Might, I reply. Good, I will hand you over to the 6, she says, and the line goes silent. I place the phone on the desk, face up, and a projection appears. All Might, why have you contacted us? A man dressed in a black suit with a matching tie, a dark purple shirt, and a white mask with a spider web pattern asks on the screen. We need information on one of your cases involving Mitama, Koba, and FT, I say. Oh, the Phantom case. May I ask why and who is with you right now? They inquire. We found a note after the UA attack saying, nice school, Mitama, Koba, the heroes Snipe, Midnight, Eraserhead, Vlad King, and Nizu are here, along with Detective Tsukachi. Good. Give us 1 minute to do background checks, and then we will tell you, they respond. Really? We don't have forever. Vlad yells. Give them 1 minute. When they say a minute, they do not lie. It will only be a minute, I say back. Oh yeah? How can you do a background check for all of us in 1 minute? He yells. No need to yell, Vlad, but believe me they can, I say, crossing my arms. Get rid of Vlad and we will tell you. His record isn't the best, and Snipe, Midnight, your lucky yours are almost as bad. Everyone but Vlad has been cleared. With that, they had to knock Vlad out, thanks, Midnight, to get him to leave, turning off all the power except for the lights and the sensors in the room. Now, what do you want to know? Nizu's POV. Who are Mitama, Koba, and FT? I ask, even though I think I know who Mitama and Koba are. Mitama is one of the 4 reasons that the GSS even exists. Mitama is a student of yours, Izuku Midoriya, but we call him Mitama. He is the one who is in danger. He is the most powerful of a group called the Matter States. The man on the screen answers. If I may ask, what are the Matter States? Midnight asks. The Matter States are a group of 4 individuals who, for some reason, were given the power of the states of matter. Have you ever heard of the Satyendra legend? I'm going to guess you haven't. The Satyendra legend is one made at the beginning of Quirks. The legend states that, in this world, most only think about the elements: water, air, fire, and earth. But what about the states, the only reason elements exist? Well, the world will have to learn that the future is in their hands. For if solid, liquid, gas, and plasma join together in peace, then the Bose-Einstein stone will not be made. But if they are taken by the hands of evil, they shall rise with the power to control every atom in the world. All the states of matter and elements shall be at their mercy. All that's needed is for them to freeze together. Listen to this warning. If not, the end will come sooner rather than later. That is what the legend says, and with the 4 states of matter actually being real, I say we listen to the warning, he finishes. So basically, there are 4 people who are essentially a superweapon, and our job is to keep them safe while this FT is trying to take them to rule the world. Aizawa asks. Yes, you are correct. All Might works on the solid and liquid cases, but the gas case is where FT comes into play. FT is what we call the legend hunter. She aims to capture the matter states and force them to combine and freeze until they turn into a Bose-Einstein condensate stone, which would give her the power to control every atom in this world. Right now, she has gas, the second most powerful of the 4. That's where we come in. Our job is to stop FT from getting all 4 and to keep them far away from each other. I then stand up and walk over to the phone on the desk. So, is Katsuki Bakugo Koba? Yes, Koba is Katsuki Bakugo. He is Mitama's bodyguard and is fully trained for it. He reports everything to us. We guessed you would call us soon since, in Koba's report, Mitama received a text from FT 3 days ago, and with the attack that happened yesterday, we had all the information ready for you. So what you are saying is that Bakugo is a fully trained bodyguard, Midoriya is one of the 4 states of matter, and he is being hunted to be turned into a super weapon? Midnight asks, scratching her head. Yes, you are correct. May I ask what you know about FT? I ask as I put my hands behind me. We do know her quirk, Suijin Uno, or Mercury Feather. She has the power to create a gas form of mercury in the shape of a feather and manipulate it to fly at her target. Once she hits it, it bursts into a liquid, wrapping around what it hit, then turning into a solid. She loves owls and dresses like one for her outfit. She also has a pet owl, but we haven't seen her ourselves, only what reports say. It's not much use for you since she hasn't been seen in years, and I don't think we will see her again, the man on screen tells us. Thank you for that. Is there anything else we need to know, mister? I ask. 3, call me 3. The only thing you probably need to know is that FT has one of the 4. A young girl, age she was taken from her home at the age of 6, she is the gas matter. We know it was FT because she left a note and an owl feather. If FT takes them all and turns them, but we steal the stone, we can change them back. That and where the other 2 are, but I'm going to keep that a secret just in case. We only talk about where they are at the main base to keep them safe, but now Mitama's location has been compromised. UA and his house are the safest places in the area, so I ask you to keep him safe. With that said, Aizawa walked up to the phone. I nearly died protecting them from the League of Villains the other day, and I will do it again. I bet everyone here would be willing to do the same. He then looked around at us. Also, do their parents know about this? He asked, focusing on 3 individuals. No, they do not. We are keeping it a secret from them as well. All they know is that Koba used to have special classes after school. They presumed it was because of his quirk, but really it was for being a bodyguard. Just so you know, Mitama doesn't know this. We keep it a secret because after the first incident, he has had trouble making friends and only trusts Koba. If he found out, he would lose all his trust in Koba. Once he finished, we all stayed there, not moving, lost in thought. Thank you, Mr. 3. Please contact us if anything new comes up, I said, putting my hands together. I will, and All Might will give them the number and code for emergencies. With that, the screen disappeared. Well, we have a lot to think about, don't we? I said as All Might handed everyone a piece of paper with the number and code. Yeah, what are we going to do with them for the sports festival? Bakugo is clearly above most of the students. In his fight with Midoriya, you could see him holding back and acting childish. Now that we know he is a bodyguard, and Midoriya trained with him for most of their childhood and even beat him sometimes, as far as I know, they are above average fighters for their year, Aizawa said, looking at me. Well, their location is compromised, so there's no use hiding them. But you are right, they are above most of the others. However, there are some who might have a chance, like Todoroki, so I say let them participate in the festival. I said, walking around the table and grabbing leftover sheets. Besides, the festival has already got 5 times the protection this year. There is nothing this FT can do. I said, getting sniped to help me down. True, it is a lot to take in that there are 4 people who, if kidnapped and forced together, could turn into a super weapon that can control the world. The villains already have one of them. It just sounds crazy, but if GSS is involved, then it's no lie, Tsukachi said, then turned to me. I will be off, I have to go help track down some villains. Goodbye. With that, he left the room. Bakugo's POV after leaving the room. I had to get Midoriya out of there. It just didn't feel safe, and I'm not to tell anyone about the matter until I have been given orders that it is okay. Kaken, where are we going? Deku asked as we walked the halls. I'm just venting some steam until lunch is over, but you haven't eaten. I know you don't need to, but do you want to go to lunch? I yelled as he skipped along happily. Yep, I want to go see everyone. I just, as we continued to walk and skip. You actually made friends this year? I asked. Yep, my favorite 3 are Ida, Uraraka, and Kirishima. They are all lots of fun, but I do want to learn about Todoroki. He is way too quiet, he said as we walked around the corner to the lunchroom when I got a text from 3. Eraserhead, Midnight, Snipe, Nizu, All Might, and Detective Tsukachi all know. From Koba. Good to know. Kaken, who are you talking to? Izuku asked as I put my phone back in my pocket. It was 3, some of the teachers about you know what? I will tell you more later, I replied. Okay then let's go eat, he said, dragging me. You know your attitude is changing way too much from "I will kill you" to a little kid, I whispered in his ear. It's fine, I haven't lost it yet. I think the sudden changes in my attitude are good. I'm getting better at trusting. I mean, I have more friends now, he said in a more stern voice as his expression darkened. Just let me enjoy this, he asked, looking down. I know I'm not like everybody else, but just let me have this. He looked up. You know I can't stop you. I'm not so mad that you've got friends, I said as we grabbed some food. Yo, Midoriya, Buro, come eat with us, yelled the one and only shitty hair. Okay, coming. Deku yelled back as we walked over. Deku's POV after school. Class had just ended, and we were getting ready to leave when Uraraka opened the door. Oh, what's going on? She yelled as she stepped away from the still open door. No way out. What are they here for? Mineta asked. Scoping out the competition, duh, small fry, Kaken said, slinging his bag over his shoulder and walking up to the group. Because we're the kids who survived a villain attack, it makes sense they'd want to look before the sports festival. You are lucky he is distracted thinking about FT to be mad. That's what I thought, at least. No point. Move aside, extras. Yep, I was wrong. Can we please not resort to calling people we don't even know extras? Ida yelled at Kaken. It's true. We came to get a look, but you sure are modest. Are all kids in the hero course like this? A kid looming at the back said as he pushed his way to the front. Gotta say, I'm a little disillusioned if this is what you're offering. Those of us who didn't make the hero course are stuck in general studies and the other tracks. There's quite a few of us. Did you know that? Depending on the results of the sports festival, they might consider transferring us to the hero course. I understand the reverse is also possible for you. Scoping out the competition? For a general studies kid like me, this will be the perfect chance to knock you off your pedestals. Consider this a declaration of war, the kid with bright purple hair, dark eye bags, and a lazy attitude declared. Hey, I'm from Class 1B next door. I heard you guys fought some villains and wanted to find out more, but all I'm seeing is this arrogant guy. You better not make fools of the hero course at this event. With that, Kaken grabbed my wrist and started pushing through the group of students. Wait, Ujiraka, what are you doing to us? Thanks to you, we've got a whole mob of haters now. Kirishima yelled at Kaken. I don't care. I'm heading to the top with Deku close behind. Why should I care? He replied, pulling me along with him. So straightforward and manly, Kirishima said, tears in his eyes. Don't let him play you. All he's doing is winning us enemies. Kaminari shouted back as Kaken dragged me away from school. Time skipped to Midoriya's house. Kaken's POV. So, Inko, we don't have school for the next 2 weeks, so we can train for the sports festival. Do you have any ideas on what we can do? I asked Inko as we all sat around the dinner table eating. Well, there is a competition happening at the park on Friday where you have to use your quirk to put on a show. It's being filmed and posted on TV, and the best 5 move on to the next round. You've probably seen it on TV, it's called Flash or Trash. With your quirks, you might have a chance to get into the top 5, she explained while eating more rice. All you have to do is fill out a form where you choose a place you want the prize money to be donated to if you do well. Just put your name, quirk, and age down, and then you're done, she finished as I turned to Deku. Do you want to do it? I asked, only to see him nod his head yes with a mouth full of food. Good, but that means we need to create a show with our quirks without scaring people. All we've done so far are little acts to scare villains, so this is going to be different, I said with a sigh before continuing to eat. Think about it, Kaken. If we can put on a good show, we'll be more popular as heroes because people will already know and love us from the show, Deku said as he finished his food and put his bowl in the sink. I guess you're right, but we only have 1 week to pick songs, decide what we're going to do, and figure out how we dress, I replied as I finished and grabbed Inko's and my bowl to take to the sink. I think you can do it. I wouldn't have suggested it if I didn't believe in you, Inko said as she headed over to the computer. Mom is right. Even if we don't do well, it will help us think of new ways to use our quirks, which can help us in the future, Deku added as he ran the sink to clean the dishes. Yeah, I guess so. Hey, Inko, Can we choose the hospital you work at to sponsor? I called out to her as she searched for the application form. I don't know, maybe? You might just have to sponsor something the hospital does, like Make-A-Wish or the Cancer Council, she replied. I'm fine with that, Deku said as he handed me a washed bowl for me to dry and put away. Okay, I found it. So who wants to go first? She asked. I will, because I'm the best, I said, putting a bowl away. Okay then, Katsuki, what are you going to sponsor? The hospital or something else? She asked as Deku and I finished washing the dishes and walked over to her. Make-A-Wish, I replied as she noted it down under my name, age, and quirk. It also wants an email and phone number. Do you want to fill this out while I go take a shower? She asked as she left the room. Fine, let's get this over with so we can think of ways to win, I said as Deku stood next to me, waiting for his turn. Here, your turn, I said, moving to the side and jumping onto the couch. So what are you going to do? I questioned. I think I'm going to support the quirkless shelters, he replied with a big grin. That sounds like something you would do, I said, turning on the TV to the news. They're still talking about the villain attack, I noted as he continued to type. Of course they are. It's a big deal having one of the safest places in Japan being infiltrated and attacked. But don't worry, in 3 or 4 days, they'll be talking about the sports festival, he said, walking over to me. Besides, we have something to keep our minds off it with the show and the festival, he added, sitting down next to me. I guess you're right. So, got any ideas for how I'm going to beat you in this show? I said, ruffling his hair. Why would I help you? I want to win this just as much as you do, he yelled, getting up and running up the stairs with me chasing him. Get back here, Deku. I yelled as we ran around the house. Give up. I can run all night if I have to, he shouted, using his quirk to leap over the railing and down to the floor. Hey, don't bring quirks into this. I yelled, trying to catch him, only to have our shirts grabbed from the back of our collars, stopping us in our tracks. What are the rules about running in the house? A cold and scary voice said as we turned our heads to see Inko. Don't run in the house, we said in unison. But now go to your rooms and think about what you did, she said, changing back into the cheerful person she usually was. I don't know how, but she can be more terrifying than even Aizawa when he's mad, and that's terrifying, I said. Weiss will do, we replied as he walked to our rooms. Your mom is terrifying, I whispered to Deku. What was that, Katsuki? Inko yelled from downstairs. Nothing, it was nothing, I yelled back. Bakugo's POV. Time skipped to before the show. Deku and I just made it to the park about 10 minutes before our contests were meant to start. We were all dressed up for the show and had the songs we were going to perform on USBs ready for our turn. Kaken, are you excited? We get to show off our quirks and be on TV. Deku squeaked as he shook my arm in anticipation. Who cares about TV? All I want to do is crush these extras, I said, gaining an evil grin. Kaken, we aren't here to fight, we're here to show off our quirks, he complained, dragging me to the sign-in booth. When we got to the booth, a lady with long light green hair, bright purple eyes, and a black and white dress with a purple stripe down the left side greeted us. Hello boys. Are you here to participate in the show? She asked, standing up and doing a spin. Yep, you know it. Deku said, giving a toothy grin. Great. My name's Unju, and you are, she said, grabbing a clipboard. Bakugo Katsuki, I said, crossing my arms. Midoriya is Zuku, but you can call me Deku, he said. Great. Bakugo, you're to perform at 7. Here's number 13, and Midoriya, you are 2 shows after Bakugo at 7:25. Number, could you please sign here? It's a contract saying that we aren't responsible for any injuries, she said in a cheerful voice. Who cares? I said as I snatched the papers and signed them before shoving Deku's papers into his chest. Hurry up, nerd, I said as I stomped off. Sorry about him. Kaken, wait up. Deku yelled, running up to me. So, are you all pumped up, ready to show off? I know I am, he said as we walked to the field to find a seat to watch the performances. Of course I'm ready. I'm going to obliterate the competition. I yelled as we walked over to a large oak tree. Let's sit here, Deku said, pointing to the tree above. Have you lost all sense of direction? You're meant to be pointing down, you fool, I said, poking his chest. No, I haven't, he retorted as he flew up and sat on a branch. I said we sit up here, he smirked. Why are you like this? I questioned as I climbed up the tree. You're not meant to use your quirk, I yelled, sitting next to him. But you always use yours, he complained. Yeah, but if I don't and just wipe my sweat on something, it will explode just by tapping it. I have to use my quirk so I don't hurt someone, I said as I looked out at the field. Bright green grass and trees surrounded a clear blue fountain to the left, a park to the right, and the stage in the center with the film crew and seats set up, ready for 6 o'clock to come around. You know it's going to get dark by your show. I guess they're making the ones that stand out in the dark go last, Deku said, looking around as people started to arrive. There are so many people here. Do you really think we can make it into the top 5? Deku asked, leaning forward to get a better view. Of course we're going to win. We are the best for a reason. Now be careful, you're going to fall. I yelled as I grabbed the collar of his shirt. Yeah, whatever. I can fly, you know, he said, sitting normally again. Besides, we only have 5 more minutes until the show starts, he said, standing up and making green plasma leak from his hands. So, are you going to do it Koba style or Bakugo style? He asked with a smirk, changing the plasma to purple. You know, if I use the Koba style, I lose any advantage I have in battle. Besides, it's not like you're going to use Mitama, I said, pulling him down. Besides, it's starting, so just wait your turn. Good day, everybody. As you know, my name is Unju, your host. Today we are at King's Park, and we have 32 great shows for you. So let's start with contestant 1. It's Ash Button and his quirk, Splatter. Button walked out on stage and put an arm above his head, then plunged it into a bag, pulling out 2 marbles and throwing them into the air as he started to do a bunch of backflips, throwing 2 more with every flip. Once he finished the flips, the marbles exploded into glittery dust. He then pulled out what I believe to be a pack of colored sticky notes, making one at a time explode into confetti, helping send him up into the air before he grabbed a gas can and lighter, splattering them at the same time to create an explosion as he drifted down to land using leftover sticky notes with a bow. Wow, that was great, Ash Button. Let's look at your scores, and it's a 68-point lead for Button. Next up, Ashido Mina and her quirk, Acid. With that, Ashido walked on stage. Look, Kaken, it's Ashido, Deku said, pointing. I can see that, moron, I said grumpily. With that, Ashido slid on stage with a big grin as the music started. She used her great flexibility to bend backward and put her hands on the ground, lifting her legs up into a handstand before stretching her legs out in splits and starting to spin around. She launched into the air using her acid to create a heart that shone in the light. When she landed, she started to slide around on her acid, doing flips and other shapes. She even made her own face before spraying the sky to make it look like it was raining and landing in splits before spinning around, picking up speed until she was spinning on her head, then slowing to a stop. That was awesome, Mina Ashido. Let's see the score. 73 points. With that, Mina Ashido takes first place. Man, Ashido is really flexible. It was so cool, and she's in first place so far, Deku says, pumping his fist in the air. So I'm going to do even better, I say confidently, watching another contestant walk on stage. Wait until it's my turn, I will crush the competition. Kaminari's POV. And next, we have the explosive Katsuki Bakugo and his quirk, Explosions. I hear the announcer, Anju, say, making Ashido, Kirishima, and me snap our attention to the stage. Sure enough, Bakugo is on stage, putting on one of the best shows yet. Who knew Bakugo was such a good dancer? Ashido says. Yeah, he almost looks peaceful and happy. Are we sure that's Bakugo? I ask. Oh, that's him. Eha. We all scream as we turn to see Midoriya sitting there. And Midoriya, when did you get here? Kirishima asks. I've been here the whole time. Oh, and good job, Ashido. You're in third right now, but once Kaken and I are done, we will be at the top, he says, looking back at the stage. Wait, you're performing too, we all say at the same time. Kaken and I thought this would make us think outside the box with our quirks, he says as he stands up and brushes the grass off his pants. So, Kaminari, Kirishima, are you performing? He asks. Sadly, I don't think there's anything flashy about my quirk that I can show, Kirishima sighs. Me too. I would just fry my brain if I went up. We're just here for a Shido, I say, scratching the back of my neck. That's when we hear Anju say, "Thank you, Bakugo. That was amazing. Let's see your score." And it's a 72, the best score of the night, putting you in number 1. Now on to the next contestant. We watch as Bakugo walks up to us, hands crackling with a smug look on his face. "Beat that, Deku," he says in a challenging tone. "Sure, just wait for my turn," Deku replies as he stands next to Bakugo. "Man, you're so manly, bro," Kirishima says, putting his arm around Midoriya. "Bakugo, why are you glaring at Kirishima?" I ask. "Shut up." Time skip. Next up, we have Izuku Midoriya, his quirk, Phantom Life. Anju yells into the mic before stepping off. The music starts, and a thick green mist covers the floor. In the middle of the mist, a small tornado forms before bright green misty eyes appear. The mist then transforms into Midoriya, who stands with his head down in a fancy suit. Where did he get the suit? I question. "Shut up. Just go with it," Bakugo yells. Midoriya then raises his arms, purple smoke trailing behind him as 2 more mist figures pop up on either side of him. Since when could he duplicate? I yell. "Shut up." The 2 mist figures then start to moonwalk as the original walks to the front, standing on the edge of the stage. He spins, creating a mist top hat and placing it on his head before stepping off the stage. Everyone gasps as he floats in the air, with multicolored bursts going off where he steps and mist drops onto the audience. The other 2 figures then run up and jump off, creating a burst behind him before diving down to the ground, lighting it up and making the audience float about 10 centimeters off the ground. Midoriya then floats down to the stage, landing on 1 foot and sliding the other around as he disappears with the mist. The mist then floats up into the sky before plunging down onto the stage when the music stops, revealing Midoriya now in a checkered shirt and tight jeans, with his arms out and hands open for someone to grab. "Stars can't shine without darkness," he says before disappearing from the stage. Well, that was something, wasn't it? Let's see what the judges have to say. Anju yells as I look around to try to find Midoriya. "Boo!" "Ah!" I scream as he appears behind us again. "Stop doing that!" I groan and the others agree. "Man, that was so manly," Kirishima says with what he would call manly tears. "And your score is 87. That's the second highest score we have had all season." Anju yells, jumping up and down. "I said I could beat you, didn't I?" Midoriya says, nudging Bakugo. "F you." Bakugo yells as he chases Midoriya around the showgrounds. Time skip. Okay, it's time to announce the top 5 who move on to the next round. Anju yells, getting everybody to quiet down. In first, we have Izuku Midoriya, Quirk Phantom Life. In second, we have Katsuki Bakugo, Quirk Explosion. In third is Taper Suko, Quirk Dark Ink. In fourth, it's Lurt Zilt, Quirk Powder. And lucky last in fifth is Mina Ishido, Quirk Acid. She yells as they all walk up on stage. You 5 will all be moving on to the next round, so be prepared. You never know what may happen in the future. You may become a star or you may burn out. Now, with that said, tune in next time when we will be in On to find out the next 5 stars. Okay, you 5, here is a sheet with the time and place of your next show. I hope you can come up with a new performance. Oh, and you can all bring 2 people with you, and traveling is paid by us, so I hope to see you there. Anju says to Ishido, Midoriya, and Bakugo before they all come down to us. So, how are the stars of the show? I ask. It's great. I don't even know who to bring. It's so exciting. Ishido yells as she hugs all of us, earning a glare from Bakugo. Is she okay? I question. Yep, she's fine. Kaken won't kill her, it wouldn't be professional, Midoriya says before he goes off and grabs Bakugo's hand, starting to drag him to the exit. Well, See you on Monday, guys. We need to get home. Midoriya yells to us. See ya. I yell back before turning around to help Kiri carry Ishido. Izuku's POV. It's dark. Really dark. Why is it so dark? I mumble as a shiver runs down my spine, making me stop dead in my tracks. Why is it so cold? I shake as I start to shuffle forward down the path. As I shuffle down the path, I hear the loud clangs of metal banging against itself. Clang, clang, clang it goes in the distance. Suddenly, I feel nauseous as I'm hit with the strong smell of iron. Why am I here? What did I do to deserve this? I question as my heart beats for the first time in years. An owl? I question as I watch the dark gray owl with bright yellow eyes that seem to wish for my demise. Kaken! There's an owl! Help! I yell as I run down the path toward the sound of the metallic clangs, hoping the noise will drown out the owl's screech. I can feel the cold breeze from the owl's wings with every flap on the back of my neck. Kaken! Please, anyone, help! I scream out, but my only reply is the owl's sharp talons lunging deep into my back, sending me to the ground as a pained yell escapes my mouth. I can feel the owl shaking me around as it pulls its talons out of my back, using me as a scratching post. Its sharp, crimson-coated talons rip through my flesh, leaving 3 straight shallow cuts from my left shoulder down to the middle of my back. Screaming, I try to pry the bird off my back, praying that someone will hear my calls for help and come to save me. My body starts to shake uncontrollably as the owl's constant screeching turns into cries for help. Closing my eyes, tears fill them from the pain in my back and the joy of hearing voices calling my name. I reach out my hand and yell, "Help me!" at the top of my lungs. Bursting awake, I find myself in the middle of the training ground surrounded by my worried classmates and teacher. Looking around, all I can feel is pain in my back. Putting a hand to my stinging left shoulder, I recognize the feeling of the dark red liquid that now covers my hand. Pulling my hand back into my sight, I look at Kaken. "Her owl," is all I manage to say before I collapse from blood loss. Kaken's POV. We went back to class today to prepare for the sports festival in 2 days. About 20 minutes into hero class, it happened. We were all meant to be sparring when Deku collapsed onto the floor. At first, he was silent, not moving an inch, then he started to twitch. We all stopped what we were doing and ran over. When I got there, he was ghostly pale, and his body temperature was cooler than it should be for the normally warm boy. "What's going on with Deku?" Uraraka asks as she takes a step toward him, slowly inching closer and crouching down next to him to hold his hand. "Nightmare," I whisper as I start to look around the area, making sure the owl isn't here. "What do you mean, nightmare?" Earphone Jack yells, pointing at Deku. "Does that look like a nightmare to you?" she shouts, gaining the attention of the rest of the class. The class's heads snap back to the boy lying on the ground as he starts to scream and plead for help, mumbling about an owl. Without thinking, I kneel down beside Deku and start to shake him, yelling his name, hoping he will wake up. Not long after, the rest of the class starts yelling his name as Recovery Girl can be seen in the distance with Aizawa, who I didn't know had left until now. Suddenly, I feel my hands being thrown off Deku as he sits up, shaking and looking everywhere before feeling his shoulder and pulling his hand into view. Dark red. His hand is covered in it. Looking him in the eyes, he says, "Her owl," before collapsing just as the teachers arrive and instantly start helping him with the bleeding, moving the students away. Time skip. About half an hour later, Aizawa walks up to me and asks to talk in private. Of course, I agree. Walking down the hall, Aizawa leads me to the nurse's office where Deku is. Once there, he closes the door behind us. He's okay, just going to have a scar on his back from where he appears to have claw marks. Do you mind explaining them or why his healing is not working? Aizawa asks as he leans against a wall, arms folded across his chest as he stares me down. Why should I tell you? I mumble as I put my hand on Deku's forehead. So we can help him and prevent this from happening again, Aizawa responds, looking at me oddly. He's too cold and his energy is low, but he should be fine with some sleep and more blankets, I say as I step in front of Aizawa. Listen, I'm only saying this once. It was FT and her owl. A strange quirk traps anyone who looks into its eye in a nightmare whenever damage is inflicted on their real body. As for him, his energy is drastically low, and he is too cold for his own good. There's a reason why his body temperature is naturally warmer than ours. I grunt as I grab a spare blanket from an unused bed and add it to Deku's. I'm going back to class. The others want to know how Deku is, I say, stomping out of the room and heading up to class. F.T's POV. This is going easier than expected, you. I grin as I look at the vial of blood I collected from Yura's talons when he returned. Just a little longer, and the remaining ones will fall into my hands, and I will rule the world. I laugh as I place the blood in a cooler. Miss F.T., the new element you collected last week has started to act up again. What would you like me to do? Hinto, my second-in-command, asks with a bow. Just zap it until it stops, but don't kill it. We still need it, I reply, grinning as I look at the cameras for the cages. It won't be long now. Izuku's POV. Blinking my eyes open to the plain white ceiling is new for me. I don't even sleep. But what's really new is the pain in my back and the little old lady by my bed. Oh my, you're awake. Don't try to move. Your shoulder and back are still tender because you didn't have enough energy to fully heal yourself, dear, she says as my eyes start to focus. What happened? I croak out, my throat painfully dry. Apparently, young Bakugo said you were attacked in your nightmares by some owl, she replies, walking over to a mini fridge and grabbing a cold water bottle. Taking a sip of my water, I give her a toothy grin as a small thank you before confirming what Bakugo said. Kaken is right. At one point I was fighting Ishido, then I saw bright yellow eyes out of the corner of my eye, and the next thing I knew, I was in a dark room. I don't know where it was just dark, I say, taking another sip. I then heard the clanging of metal and was hit with a strong iron smell before running into a dark gray owl with bright yellow eyes. I ran from it, but it attacked. I couldn't do anything, then I was woken by the cries of my class. I say, shivering as I remember its eyes, those terrifying eyes I never wanted to see again. Bakugo's POV. I was sitting with my arms crossed, waiting for our class to be called when Icy Hot called Deku and me out. Midoriya, Bakugo, objectively speaking. I'm stronger than you. What the heck, you Icy Hot JRK? Do you want to fight? I'm 10 times better than you. I scream as I jump out of my seat and stomp next to Deku. You two have been keeping secrets from us and have the government's eye on you. Now, I'm not going to pry into why that is, but I will beat you. Ooh, a declaration of war from one of the strongest 3 in class, Icy Hot says. Hey man, why pick a fight now? We're about to go on. I follow Deku as he drags Icy Hot outside to somewhere private. Todoroki, I want to know how much you know about Kaken and my involvement with the government. How do you know? And why challenge us? Everybody in this room is aiming for the top. So why us? Deku questions as I grab my phone to inform 3 about anything he knows so I can ask what to do. Right. That note the other day was for you too, wasn't it? He says, staring us down. And why would you think that? Deku asks. The way you acted when Aizawa read out the note and how you just pulled me out to ask me how much I know. Is that all? I ask. No, there is more. About 4 years ago, there was a school attack, which I believe you might know about since you were there. The government tried to keep what happened a secret and lied about it, but my father got his hands on some files. That was no normal attack, was it? He asks with no emotion. No, it wasn't. Koba, Mitama, and young Todoroki, a voice says as a man emerges from the shadows. Edgeshot, what are you doing here? I question. Keeping an eye on you, 3's orders, he replies as he stops in front of us. Todoroki, how much do you and Endeavor really know? He asks. That Midoriya is being targeted by someone named FT, and that he and Bakugo were attacked at their old school for some unknown reason. Well, this will be troublesome. Koba, take Mitama and young Todoroki back to class. You are about to start, and I will figure out what to do with 3. Right away, I say as I head back to the room, the other 2 following me. This must be something big to have Edgeshot following you and for you to have code names, Todoroki states. It's none of your business, Deku replies as he walks a little faster to catch up to me. Let's just get to the classroom. I yell as we get closer to our destination. We walk the rest of the way in silence, and when we reach the door, I kick it open. We're back. I yell as Deku and I walk over to a corner to talk while Icy Hot stands next to the door. Time skip to Deku's POV. Everyone is confronting Ashido, Deku, and Kaken about them performing and getting into the next round of Flash or Trash. It's UA's sports festival. The one time each year when our fledgling heroes compete in a ruthless grand battle. First up, you know who I'm talking about. The miraculous rising stars who brushed off a villain attack with their steely willpower. The first years of the hero course, it's Class 1A. Following Class B, it's C, D, and E of General Studies. And here come the support courses F, G, and H. And the business course. And the ref this year is none other than the R-rated hero, Midnight. Now for the athlete's oath. Present Mike yells. Your student representative is from Class 1A, Izuku Midoriya. With that, I walked up to the stage and took the microphone. Everybody here has worked tirelessly to get here, and I would like to say thank you for doing so. But today, you're going to have to give it your all because everyone here is aiming for number 1, including me. So go beyond, plus ultra. I said with a bow before walking off to my class. Now, without any delay, let's get the first event started. These are the qualifiers. It's on this stage that so many are sent home crying every year. And the fateful first event this year is this, she yelled, pointing to a sign that read Obstacle Course Race. The course is a 4-kilometer lap around the stadium itself. Racers to your positions. Start. Midnight yelled. The gate is too narrow, well, for some that is, I thought as I transformed into plasma and floated above everyone to the exit while ice began to cover the floor. Is that all you've got, Todoroki? I yelled as I flew above him and landed in front of him, blocking his view. I'm not going to let you win, half and half. Kaken yelled as he used his explosions to catch up. Now it's my turn. How about a taste of my killer? Mineta was cut off by a robot hitting him aside. Every obstacle course needs obstacles. Starting with the first barrier, Robo Inferno. Present Mike yelled. It's the 0-pointers from the entrance exam. Oh well, bye guys, I said with a wave before my plasma body slammed through the robots, taking out everyone I touched. But halfway through, the robots got covered in ice. Huh, Todoroki has no doubts. He thinks this will stop me. Well, let's see about that, I thought as I let out a burst of plasma, covering the robots before lighting them up. Have fun in the blast zone, Todoroki. I yelled as I returned to normal and ran down the path to the next obstacle. I continued to run down the dirt track, listening to the booming voice of Present Mike. And Izuku Midoriya takes the lead while at the same time completely destroying the first obstacle. And not far behind, we have Katsuki Bakugo using his explosions to propel himself forward. And if we look back at Shoto Todoroki, we will see he is running full speed ahead to catch up. How is he still in this after that explosion? Mike yelled for all to. If you were watching, you would have seen him create a dome of ice around him, protecting himself from the explosion, the teacher known as Aizawa said over the microphone. By now, I could see the next obstacle in the distance. It looked to be a massive pit with pillars of dirt connected by ropes to help you get across. Is this meant to be a joke? I asked as I turned my lower half to plasma and floated across the ropes at incredible speeds while the others caught up. Deku, stop flying. A very angry Kaken yelled as he and Todoroki reached the ropes and started to either slide across on ice or fly using explosions. Not happening, Kaken. I yelled as more people reached the ropes. One of them had pink hair and used jet boots along with some sort of hook system to help her cross. I managed to cross the ropes, but I could feel my muscles starting to tighten, so I returned to normal and continued to run down the path. I could hear Kaken and Todoroki getting closer thanks to the yelling and ice crackling. But that wasn't what I was worried about, it was the last obstacle. I stopped to look at the large field of mines in front of me. There is no way this is safe, I said just before Present Mike announced. Looks like Midoriya has found the last obstacle, the minefield. The mines are real, listeners. They may pack a punch, but but there's no way they're strong enough to hurt anyone too much. I wonder how much the school is fined for endangering students' lives? I mumbled as I put a hand in front of me and shot a plasma blast, setting off the mines as I passed them. I took off running on the path it created. Not even 5 seconds after starting to run on my path, I found Kaken and Todoroki about 10 feet behind me, fighting as they tried to catch up. Kaken, Todoroki, it's good to see you again. Well, not really see you again since you're not in front, so I can't see you, I said, earning a piece from Kaken. Well, looks like this is your stop, I said as plasma covered the exit tunnel. The second I entered, it blew, trapping everyone but me out of the stadium. Looks like Izuku Midoriya, your winner of this round, thinks that was too easy and has added a new obstacle. Mike yelled. As I waited, I sat down to rest so I would be at 100% for the next round. It took 5 minutes, but Kaken managed to break through the rubble, and everyone started to rush in. Deku, what was that? Kaken yelled as he stalked up to me. It was fun. Didn't you have fun? Fun? You call that fun? Kaken yelled at me as I got up and walked to Kaminari. Yep. Kaminari, give me a zap, I told him as Kaken yelled in the background. What? That would hurt you, he yelled, looking at me like I was crazy. Kaminari, my body is made of plasma, and plasma is what makes lightning, and lightning is electricity. So give me a zap, my muscles are still sore, I stated, deadpan. I have no idea what you're talking about, but it must be smart, so the smart thing to do is whatever you said. What is it? I sighed. Zap me, Kaminari. Okay, he said with a big smile as he placed a hand on my shoulder and started zapping me. Thanks, Kaminari, I needed that, I said with a wave as I left a half-brain-dead child in a large group of people to fend for himself. That's one out of the way, I mumbled as I went to stand in front of the stage where Midnight was. Okay, now that everyone has made it back, I will announce who is going to be in the next round, she said as 42 names appeared on the board. Everyone whose name is not on the board, please leave the field, she said, pointing to the door. After a bit, everyone but 42 students left the field, and Midnight continued her speech. Great. Now for the next round, we will be having a cavalry battle. Students will team up into groups of 4 and will go around collecting bands from other teams. Each player will receive 1 band with a point value equal to their place in the race. For instance, the player in 42nd place will have 5 points, 41st will have 10 points, and so on. However, the player in first place will have a special reward of 10 million points. Midnight yelled the last part, and everyone turned to me with an intense gaze, but I simply shrugged. Time skip brought to you by Todoroki, who placed a pickup 4 down in Uno, shadows covering his eyes as he stared down Endeavor. I was with my group, consisting of Tokoyami, Uraraka, Mei, and myself as we waited for the round to start. You all know the plan, right? I asked. Indeed, yep, no worries. Leave it to me and my babies, came the confident reply. Well, it looks like the game is about to begin, I said, a dark smirk crossing my face for a moment. Let's play, I declared as I took my place atop my team. This is where I decided to summarize what would have happened if I continued the story. The sports festival would proceed as usual, but this time Izuku would defeat Todoroki and make it to the final round, where he would battle Bakugo. Izuku would win by removing all the air in the ring. They would receive their hero names. Izuku 4th change. Katsuki Ground Zero. They would then go to internships and a fight with Stain would occur. During the races, Izuku would win again. Training camp would take place and Bakugo would attend. All Might and All for One would clash as usual, revealing that Fukato-tsum had obtained another element. They would move into the dorms, where rooms would be judged. A fight between Bakugo and Izuku would ensue, only for them to be kidnapped by Fukato-tsum right in front of All Might. Fukato's name means Owl Claw. Her quirk, Suijin Uno, allows her to summon liquid mercury feathers that harden upon touch. She has a pet owl named Yoru, which means night. Oh no. Izuku is being infused with the other elements to create a stone that will enable the wielder to control the world. Fukato places the stone into a necklace, causing earthquakes to spread across the globe. Heavy storms crash around them as Fukato stands atop a tower of dirt. Heroes attempt to take her down but make no progress. The League of Villains teams up with the heroes to confront Fukato, as she has become a mutual enemy. Somehow, All for One convinces All Might to let him join the fight. The heroes and villains find themselves cornered and must battle powerful villain grunts. Katsuki, Endeavor, Aizawa, Ida, Uraraka, Kirishima, and Todoroki end up facing Fukato. Endeavor sacrifices himself, showcasing his dedication as a parent. Everyone else urges Izuku to fight back, recalling the times he has helped them. The stone cracks and begins to burn, leading to more fighting. Fukato loses control of the stone's power, causing the ground to crack and lava to seep through. As if everyone is playing, the floor is lava. After more fighting, everyone is badly injured, and Bakugo can hardly stand. In a final attempt to reach Izuku, his fingers graze the stone as he declares that Izuku can't leave him. The stone bursts into light. Izuku appears with green, purple, and blue highlights. The gas form is yellow gold with silver and white highlights. The liquid form is dark blue with gray and black highlights. The solid form is black with green and orange highlights. Then, four figures emerge, all clad in armor made of light. Izuku reaches for Bakugo's hand and pulls him to his feet. The others place their hands on Bakugo's shoulders and back, smiling at him. Welcome to the family. Bakugo begins to glow, and armor appears on him, featuring orange with red and black highlights.